Where, oh, where? Where, oh, where? Nope, not the zebra picture. There we go. The question is, what the fuck is up with the zebra picture, Dalton? Okay. Howdy, howdy, hey everybody. This is Dalton the Bible Guy, coming at you live from Texas. And today we're going to see if we can get some interesting conversations with some theists today. So everyone, make sure you tap that screen like Jonathan wanted to tap King David, and share the live out with your friends and with your enemies. Everyone you hate, everyone you love. Yes, exactly, Ghosted Cody. It is a cooking time. Gotta share the live out to people that I know. Oh. Okay, everyone, so make sure to tap that screen. My tooth is feeling so much better than it was. And I finally got into a place where I can drink soda again, which is fantastic. Ball says, why not? So you don't believe in the 10 commandments, such as don't steal, murder, lie, cheat? Funny how you only pick the parts of the 10 commandments that are universally applicable, and you fail to ignore like the commandments that I obviously don't believe in, like you shall have no other gods before me, or don't make idols, or do not work on Saturdays, or the parts about slaves and not coveting your neighbor's slaves. But of course, you just ignored those bits, right? Yeah, none of the good commandments that you mentioned in the 10 Commandments are unique to Christianity. They predated Judaism and the giving of the Torah. All right. We've got our first guest. We got Dwight here. All right, Dwight, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old? They're still loading in. Let's see if their internet's good enough to come and talk to us. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Larry Lynch says, why shouldn't you believe in the Bible? It's historically correct. Larry Lynch, it is not historically correct. But if you want to come up and talk about it, get in my box. Dwight disconnected. They got that wilderness Wi-Fi. All right. All right. AR, how you doing? What is the Bible everyone keeps talking about? No idea. There's too many renditions. But even if all we had was one rendition, it still wouldn't be very reliable. Get in my box, the Bible guy. Yeah. All right, let's see who else is in my... We have here Skeltzen Placoli. Skeltzen, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yeah.
Question
What's
number
up?
2, what are you a Bible believer?
No.
Okay, well, we are only taking opposition at the moment, but thank you for coming up, Skelton. Is this not obvious? Holy Hunker says, hey, Dalton. Hello, Holy Hunkers. Tall Man J says, driving right now. Can I join in about an hour? You can join in about an hour. Yeah, just no living and driving. The camera quality is kind of sketch. You talking about my camera quality? I mean, I'm just using a phone. We'll get better camera quality once I get a PC with a proper camera setup within the next few weeks. But we can have a discussion. It doesn't matter. I mean, no, not if you don't believe in the Bible, Skelton. Uppo says, "Hey, Dalton, good to see you. Good to see you too, Uppo." Clara says, "I think the camera's fine. Thank you, Clara." Does "Are you Bible believer" equal you think it's univocal and inerrant? At the very least, it should mean that you think that like the content in it comports to reality. You don't have to be a inerrantist or believe in the univocality of the Bible, but if you think, like, for example, like Jesus really did resurrect from the dead, or that the Exodus really occurred, or any of that stuff, then I'm going to take contention with that. Or that Jesus was the Messiah. If you think Jesus is the Messiah, I would say to you, no, he wasn't, because Jesus didn't fulfill a single messianic prophecy. Angels 2. Yeah, it's real for me and mine. Bye. Bye, Boolicious. Bye, Felicia. Angels aren't real either. Wise dude lying? I'm not. Why are you lying? Funny that you just assume I'm lying because I disagree with you. What does that say about your worldview? You might be indoctrinated. Okay, we got here Megavore Mard. Megavore, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yeah.
And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
I'm a guy.
Yeah, okay, but what are your pronouns?
If I'm a guy, you can take a guess at what my pronouns are, man.
No, I can't, because I know lots of guys who go by he, him, and I know a few guys that go by they, them. So what's your pronouns?
Well, you can call me they, them. That's not semantically incorrect. You want to call me they, you can call me they, but I'm a guy.
Okay, you go by they,
You
them?
don't choose pronouns. Pronouns is just fixing a referent
Yes, you do.
with his. You can?
Yeah, you do choose pronouns. Yes.
That's brain rot. Like if she is descriptive. Go ahead.
You choose pronouns because pronouns are what are used to describe like how you usually align with your gender, and your gender is an internal personal matter.
Yeah, I'm aware of this, what the position is, but words obviously pick something out. If the words pick something out, then the question is, what does she pick out? What does he pick out? If she picks out nothing that's a gender quality, then what is the reference of she? It seems vacuous. Obviously, it has
So
a
she
feminine
refers
reference.
to the person who goes by the pronouns of she. So you go by the pronouns they, them. I'm
That's not
Dalton, the Bible
definitive.
guy.
That's not a definitive definition at all. You can't use the word of you can't use the word you're defining in the definition.
Megavore, you already told me you go by they, them. So I'm Dalton, the Bible guy.
Everyone does.
I don't believe in
They,
the
them,
Bible. Megavore.
they, them is
Why
a gender
should?
neutral reference. That's why.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We've already passed that. Anyways, why should I believe in the Bible, Megavore?
Because Jesus fulfills Isaiah 53. Also, you said angels don't exist. Can you give evidence that?
Oh
angels
yeah,
don't exist?
Isaiah 53 is not about
Yeah.
Jesus. We're going to talk about
Okay,
that.
so can you tell me anyone who it could possibly be about except for Jesus?
Yeah, Israel. You're talking about
nation?
the righteous remnant of Israel after the Babylonian exile.
Yeah, the righteous remnant of Israel does not lose their life. The righteous remnant of Israel is actually
They
unique
did.
in that. No,
They did.
Zephaniah 3:14 says they don't die. It says
Well,
they
no,
stay alive.
many of the righteous remnant did die. Have you ever heard of this thing?
Then they're
called
not the righteous remnant, bro.
No,
The
they
righteous
are.
remnant are the ones that remain in Israel after they're brought back to the land.
No.
That's after the cleansing.
No,
That's after
that's
the cleansing.
that's one referent for the remnant. That's one referent for the remnant.
That's what
the
Isaiah
righteous
53 is
remnant
about.
is really refer. No, the righteous remnant of Isaiah
Then why does it
53
say it already happened?
is about the children of Israel after they've returned from Babylon. They have been despised and rejected, and they're about to be exalted before the eyes of the nations. Why do you think that the servant in Isaiah 53 is referred to in the plural?
Multiple reasons. What the hell? The same reason that in Ezekiel, what is it, 32, the prince of Tyre is referred to with plurality as well. So he's going to have a plurality of deaths, but obviously he only dies one time. So
No,
also
no,
even in
but when
Isaiah
you refer, but when
51,
you
it
refer,
says
no,
that
but when you
the,
refer to the,
I'm
no, but
answering.
no, I don't know
I'm
why you
answering.
think you can overtalk. I don't know why you think you can overtalk me.
I don't
No
think
one
I
can
don't
hear
know why
you
you
while I'm
think you can
talking. No one
overtalk
can hear
me,
you.
buddy.
No one can hear you while I'm talking. The
Yes, they
king of
can.
Tyre, when you refer to them, they use he, him pronouns for the king of Tyre, or lo. They would just say lo for the king of Tyre. What is it used to refer to the servant? Isaiah 53 verse 8.
Wait, I'm not this. Hold on. The thing in question isn't whether or not singular pronouns are used to refer to the Prince of Tyre. Obviously, singular pronouns are used to refer to the Prince of Tyre.
Yeah,
Singular pronouns are also used to refer.
what
Wait.
pronoun is
I'm answering
what
your objection,
pronoun
bro.
is used for the servant in Isaiah 53?
It does refer to the servant in Isaiah 53 with plurality. That's because in Hebrew there's something called an intensive plural. Like I was saying in Isaiah 51:5, it says that the multiple arms of the Lord are going to judge the nations. Either you're going to say there's distinctions in God, or you're going to say that arms is an
Well,
intensive plural and that there is not
yeah,
plurality in God.
God has arms. And
Okay, are those arms distinct from each other?
yeah, he's got a left arm and a right arm.
Okay, are those arms also Yahweh?
Yeah, they're part of his body.
Okay, physical body?
Yes, physical body.
Okay,
Despite like what you
what's the
might
argument
believe
that God
about
has a
God being
physical body outside of the
why
incarnation?
the fact that the Hebrew Bible constantly refers to him as having a physical body, the
That's
incorporeal
non
nature of
sequitur.
Yahweh doesn't
Wait, it says
occur
physical
until
body?
you
Where
get
does it say
to it.
physical body? Where does it say that?
Yeah, it describes him as having a head and legs and a face and a
Right.
beard and eyes,
Right, describes
which
Jesus
would
as a
mean
door. That hermeneutic doesn't follow. That's not a biblical hermeneutic. That's a
because
foreign
doors are things that
hermeneutic.
you open and close. When someone's described as having feet, we generally means that they have feet.
That's actually not a Hebrew. No, in Isaiah 6, when it talks about the angels covering their feet, feet isn't actually referring to their feet. Feet is referring to their genitalia. In Hebrew, words
Yes,
don't need to refer.
yes,
Wait.
I agree. In some cases, feet can refer to genitalia, but the ancient Israelites see the sapphire underneath the throne of Yahweh, and he sits on a throne. He has eyes like a flame of fire, and hair as white as wool in the book of Daniel.
Oh, wait.
God
Go back.
has physical form in the books of the Hebrew Bible. The
I didn't
idea
even
that
think
you
you said you
have
got to
that
rewind.
God is incorporeal is
That
a
doesn't make sense.
post-biblical philosophical innovation. Now, again, I'm not going to let you get me off topic here. The servant in Isaiah 53 is referred to as them.
Right, it's an intensive plural. I already told you.
Where do we see that? Where do we see the word "them" being applied to a singular individual outside of Isaiah 53?
Yo, that's also a non sequitur. The point is, if the
No,
principle
no,
of
no.
intensive plurals,
Where
I'm
do
telling
we
you why your
see?
argument's non
Where would
sequitur.
you see the word
I'm
"lamo" or
saying your
"lahim"?
argument.
I'm
Right, it's a
speaking
loaded
right
question. You know
now.
what a loaded question?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm telling
I'm
you.
gonna mute you because okay, if you cannot have an adult conversation with me, then I can move on to the next guest. But you're being a whining bitch, and I'm trying to say something to you so that you can respond. And I want you to answer this very specific question: where outside of Isaiah 53 do we ever see a word like lamo or lahem
Listen
being
to
used to
answers.
refer to a
It's
singular
a
person?
loaded question.
This is my show. You will answer my question, or you can go away.
It's a loaded question.
Where outside of Isaiah 53 does lamo or lahem ever refer to someone other than a plurality of persons?
I haven't done a word study on Lamo. You understand that the argument either way is a non sequitur. Even if the
No,
word
it's
Lamo.
important because
Wait,
if
wait.
Isaiah 53 refers to the
Mhm,
servant as a
mhm,
them and
mhm.
not as a him, and not only as a him, then it's not a singular individual.
What's the argument for that?
The argument is that you never see in Hebrew the words lahem or lamo ever being used in reference to a singular
Why does that mean it
individual.
can't be?
Because that's not how Hebrew works.
What's the argument for that?
Do we have any examples of lamo being used for a singular
I
person?
already granted that. I'm asking for what sequitur is from that.
Therefore, the person of Isaiah 53 is not a singular individual, it's a group of people.
Wait, no.
Unless you can demonstrate that
no.
lamo has a meaning outside of them.
Okay, if you're saying that's what the second word is, what inference rule are you using from? Let's say it's true that the word is only used here. What inference rule are you using to go from the word is
No,
only
the
used
word
here
isn't
to the
only
word can't
used.
be
The
used
word
anywhere
isn't
else?
only used here. Lamo is used elsewhere in the
Oh no,
Hebrew
I
Bible
mean
and
it's only used
always
like that.
refers to
I
it
misspoke. I
them.
misspoke. Okay, let's
Yeah,
say
you
it's
would need to
let's say I
provide me.
grant it's
You would
only
need to
used.
provide me
No, that
evidence
you
that it
misunderstood the
could be
question.
used for a singular individual.
You misunderstood the question. Let's say I grant it's true that every single time the word is used, it's plural. Okay, how does
Yeah,
that from that? What inference rule are you using to from to follow from that that it can't be used outside of that specific semantic
yeah.
range you're
You would need
imposing?
to provide evidence that it could be used other than for them, plural. That's how words
Wait,
work, Megavar.
wait.
If you're wanting to
Okay,
propose to
so wait,
me
so
that
you're
Lamo
not
has
okay. I
I
understand.
don't know why you keep fucking talking while I'm
So you're making an
talking.
inductive
If
case, is what you're saying.
okay, listen, if you keep interrupting me, I'm gonna drop you.
You can interrupt me. I can't interrupt you. Yeah, fuck you.
Bye. If you can't fucking wait your turn to talk, then you can go and fuck right off. Hi, Ashland.
Hey, he was spicy.
I hate when people who I hate when people who don't know Hebrew and who are so dogmatically bound to their position are unwilling to let me talk so and actually answer questions honestly. Listen, guests in the guest box, if you cannot answer the questions that I ask you, then I don't want to talk to you. Good, because you're too scared of the obvious implication. Muhammad, you probably follow a pedophile prophet. You don't need to be telling anyone that they're scared. Anyways, I don't need to be talking to people who aren't willing to answer my questions.
He was just
All right.
asking you. You're like, it's only used this way in the text, and he's like, well, it could be another way, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, because for them, words don't actually mean words.
They
All
never
right,
mean
Muhammad,
words.
I'm going to bring you up. You have to be a Bible believer if you want to talk to me. Just making sure you know. So I have 3 questions for you. Oh, they disconnected because they don't believe in the Bible. All right. Saw that coming a mile away. Jesus Christ, what a way to start the live. Bullshit right out the gate. Hey everyone, keep tapping that screen and share the live out with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends, and with your enemies. Let's get the word out. We have 143 people in here. I'm pretty sure we could get more people in here. Oh,
Make sure you're tapping. You're here. I need a repost as well. Do your repost. Send your daily heartbeat. I'm gonna do all the things too.
Get lost, Muhammad. Muhammad. Here's a new joke for you guys that I made up today. In Hebrew, Na'ar means boy. In Australian, it's what Australian Christians say when you make a good argument against their beliefs. Na'ar. AR says, I stay tapping. Please don't use Jesus Christ in vain. Jesus fucking Christ, I'll do what I want in my own life. Thank you. Thank you very much. God damn it.
Wow, no Christians want to come up and fight you.
Yeah, well, they know that I'm not going to put up with bullshit. Cooper, good afternoon to you. Thank you for the heart. Like I said, he's watching you. Who's watching me? There's lots of people are watching me right now. I'm live. All right, Ella Studios. Ella, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
I am 20 years old.
All right, question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Oh, I really wanted to get on here and be like, bro, just believe in God just because, like, the Bible said. I'm kidding. I'm atheist. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, you have a good day, Ella. Thank you, and W for being an atheist.
You too. W.
All right, let's see what we got here. I love his aura. Thank you. Brando says, my imaginary friend is watching you. That's basically what he was saying, yeah. Let's see. I'm Christian, not in a cult. The Bible explains the origins of the world. Georgia, in the 1st century, CE, Christianity was called a cult. The Bible calls it a cult. The cult of the Nazarenes.
It
Have you
also
ever heard of the
it
1590?
it does fit the bite
What was
model
that?
as well. It fits the bite
Yeah.
model.
Have you ever heard of the 1599 Geneva Bible? Yes, I have, although it's not a Bible I'd probably ever be interested in reading because it's an outdated translation. It probably has a lot of ways in which I would disagree with the translation. I would just prefer like the original Hebrew and Greek if I can get my hands on it. Will the mustache be making a comeback? I don't think it will be. I quite like my clean shaven face. This face was made for all kinds of lips. Let's see. When God made man in his image, did God have a sniffle? I don't know. I bet God could sneeze if he wanted to. Where can I find an original Greek Bible? So, original Greek Bible. So, the entirety of the Bible wasn't originally written in Greek, just the New Testament. And there are plenty of sources online where you can get yourself a copy of the Greek New Testament. If you want Old Testament in Greek, that would just be a Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible called the Septuagint. And you can find all of this online, or you can probably go on Amazon and purchase a copy for yourself. Devin says, I have a Greek Bible that was my great-great-grandfathers who fled Greece during genocide. Yeah, I mean, that was probably going to be a translation of some kind. Dalton said, stash away. Is it Orthodox? No, the Septuagint isn't. Oh, the Orthodox use the Septuagint, but the Septuagint was originally a Jewish text. Tired eyes didn't say I was. I am open-minded. No. If you don't not believe in him, you do not believe in yourself. No, I believe in myself. I have pretty good evidence that I exist, so I believe in my existence. I don't believe in your God's existence, though. So, Dalton, do you like hummus? I do like hummus, especially with pita bread, with a little bit of paprika on it and some olive oil.
I make hummus for a Palestinian like once a week, so
So she's pretty good at it, unless they complain. Do they complain?
no, he likes it. But there is a preference on chickpea selection.
Blackberry says, "Is it just me, or do most people educated on the Bible are atheists mostly?" This is true. This is true. Yeah, the Bible is the greatest tool to make someone into an atheist. That's my opinion.
Also, how is my mic? I can like ASMR with this.
Yeah, it's really good. How do you know you're real and not in a simulation? Because even in a simulation, I would be real because I am experienced the simulation. My mind, at the very least, is real. To quote, I think it's Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Perhaps my body isn't real. Perhaps this is part of the simulation. But my mind, at the very least, is a real thing.
It's an axiom.
Yeah, it's an axiom. What about the hurricane? What hurricane?
Oh yeah, there's a
What?
hurricane rolling. I can't talk. At I think Jamaica and Florida, are the two places. It's massive.
Dionysus Xenos, anyone says, why does the Bible create atheists? And it's simple, because people who read the Bible and take it seriously and actually look into the text of the Bible realize that it's full of contradictions, historical errors, and scientific errors, and that Jesus didn't fulfill messianic prophecy. And when they set aside their dogma in favor of what the data clearly indicate, they cease to believe that the Bible is divinely inspired and the Word of God. But if you're a Christian and you disagree with me, come on up. There's 153 people in here. Surely some of you are Christians.
They're
So Dan says
scared.
snakes don't talk. Let's start and stop there. Yeah. It's clearly mythology, right? Because despite what some of you Christians might be thinking to yourselves right now, the serpent in the garden, not Satan. All right, we got here Jay. Jay, I'm going to ask you the same three questions that I ask all of our guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number one: are you at least 18?
No,
You're not? Okay, I can't talk to people who are younger than 18. Sorry.
I am.
Well, at least he was honest. Gee whiz, I was really hoping to talk to someone. Ian Raid, that's fantastic. Hey, hopefully Ian will send in some of the Christians with him. Questions, come on up. Let's have a conversation about why it is that I, the Bible guy, do not believe in the Bible. And we got our next guest here. We have, oh no. Okay, Megavore Mart, I'm going to give you one more opportunity. Don't interrupt me while I'm talking and actually answer the questions I have. And don't come in acting like an asshole. Just chill the fuck out. All right, Megavore.
Well, I'm going to talk when I want, unless you want to respect.
Nah, you're not.
If you're going to interrupt me,
You're not. Nah, you're not. So it's just so you know, at the top of the page, it doesn't say Megavore's channel. It says the Bible Guy's channel. You don't get to come up here and dictate to me how the show is to be run. That's my prerogative. So you can either chill out and be a good little bitch boy, or I can just like drop you again. That's your decision. What's it gonna be?
Wait, Piggy.
All right. Like, look at that. You shall know them by their fruits.
So Christian of him. So Christian of him, guys.
You shall know them by their fruits, and that fruit was a little bit rotten. Let's see if we can have any better Christians come up and be better examples. So everyone keep tapping that screen. Share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends, with your enemies. Tap that screen like Jonathan wanted to tap David. Let's see. Megavore is really submissive. Yeah, he is, isn't he? By the way, I gotta make Lou a moderator. I know that they are a moderator on Ian's lives, so that's all the validation I need from them to know that they'd be worthy of moderating my lives. So
Thank you, KK. Thank
Boom.
you. Thank y'all for the gifts. Thank y'all for the love. I really appreciate y'all. Hopefully we can get some Christians on. I guess they're scared right now because they're not showing up in the box. So let's
maybe
I guess
maybe
if you
maybe I've
if
converted
you see
them
any
all.
I was going to say, if you see anyone you know that is Christian and has arguments, tell them to get in the box. Send it to them, share it out, or if you just see them in the comments.
Here, I'm going to make a couple of statements, and then hopefully these statements will draw on the Christians. Christians, first and foremost, the Bible is not univocal. It doesn't speak with one consistent voice. It has many authors, and therefore many interpretations about who God is and what his personality is like. God in the Bible is not all-knowing. He's not omnipresent. He's not even sometimes all good. God creates evil, and sometimes he does evil. He can change his mind in the Bible. Sometimes it's not the devil that sends evil spirits to haunt people, but Yahweh himself sends evil spirits to torment people and cause people to go crazy. Yahweh, what a dick. Yahweh commands genocide in the Bible. The Bible has underage girls getting married.
The Bible's
Says
horrible
it.
to women. God is like clearly
Yeah.
a misogynist.
The Bible says that women are nothing more than property, and the husbands are their masters. Jesus is not the Messiah. He didn't fulfill a single prophecy, and we have no good reason to think that he resurrected from the dead. So if you disagree with any of these things, come on up. Let's have a conversation. Archaeologists have used the Bible as a map to find more than 10,000 other of discoveries. Well, that's a highly inflated number. I don't think you'd be able to back that idea. But also, the Bible explicitly contradicts other archaeological finds we have. The book of Daniel, which wasn't written by Daniel, by the way, but was written 400 years after Daniel's time, doesn't even know who the kings of Babylon were. What a goof.
Oh yeah, Ashley Ash is
Oh,
also
yeah,
a
she's
good
a-
candidate to be mod.
Yeah. I need to... Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's
What
take
is
care of that
going
right
on with
now.
your internet? Is that just
Go ahead.
me?
What? The echo? That's you.
No, it's cutting out. I don't hear an echo.
Oh wait. Oh, I forgot to turn my Wi-Fi on.
Thank you,
That's
Lou.
why. Give me a
Yeah, it
second,
was
everyone. My
your
Wi-Fi
internet's
will
been
cook
really
come all head
bad.
on. Yeah. Just give me a second, everyone, and my Wi-Fi will kick in, and everything will be a lot better. And there we go. Let's see. I get so excited to come on and do the lives that sometimes I'll forget to turn my Wi-Fi on when I get home because I live in the bumfuck end of nowhere. And if you guys would like me to get better Wi-Fi, I got a cash app. Just saying. Just
Cyber
saying.
Deconstruction says the Iliad was used to find the city of Troy, which was thought to be a myth.
This is true. We thought Troy was a myth until we used the Iliad and the Odyssey to find the city of Troy. So, using an ancient text that has a nugget of truth in there doesn't tell you that the whole passage is true. Shystone says prophecy fulfilled. Shystone, if you think prophecy is fulfilled, get on up in my box and let's talk about it. Because guess what? I don't think there are any actual prophecies which are fulfilled. At best, the closest thing you get is Jesus making the declaration that there will be wars and rumors of wars, and First Peter saying that there will be mockers. But guess what? Those things have always been true.
I think they're scared because Ian stomped the crap out of them earlier.
Probably so. Even, I'm getting Ian's leftovers, and they're all charred the fuck up. Yeah.
He was smashing them away today. For sure.
Shyston says, get in my box. Yeah, get in my box. Get up in my box. Come on up and let's have a conversation. Someone said, what do you believe? I'm an atheist. I don't believe in your God, and I don't believe in your holy book. It's all Bolshevik. Let's see. Tap web. Wait, we're almost at 3,000. Oh my god, we're almost at 30,000 likes, guys. Holy fuck. Yeah, keep tapping that screen. Charles Carl says, I'll debate you. Okay, Charles. Ask to come up. I don't invite people up. I only let people invite themselves up, and then I accept those invitations because I don't want to force anyone into my space. So ask to come up, and we'll have that conversation. Lou says, I loved him before I was a mod. She loved me before it was cool. Let's see. We believe in consent here. Absolutely, we believe in consent here. Let's see. So you believe life starts from no life? Yeah. Every single bit of all the organisms that we have today, all derived from one common ancestor, and whatever that common ancestor was, it would have came from non-life. Because here's the thing, guys. Until you can demonstrate that the supernatural is real, all we have evidence for is nature, and therefore the only viable explanation for where life comes from is a natural source. Until you can prove that the supernatural exists. Until then, it's not even on the table. It's not even for consideration for the origin of life. So, how do they think Adam was created? They think Adam was created using magic. God took clay or dirt from the earth and rubbed it around and then blew in it and made a human being, which is not unique to the Bible. The Mesopotamians actually believed the same thing. The gods took clay and then they mixed the blood of gods into it. So you have like dirt, but also a divine substance mixed together in order to create Adamu, which was the Akkadian word for man. So the Bible isn't even unique in that sense.
Christians, come on up. Guys, what is going on? Why are you not coming?
Exactly,
In the
which
box.
is from nothing matching. No, it's not from nothing. Life coming from inorganic material is not life coming from nothing. That's life coming from something else, which is just an inorganic material. In Ezekiel, it mentions El Shaddai. It does mention El Shaddai because that's another claim I'll make for you Christians. The original Canaanites were not the descendants of a man named Abraham. They were actually just an offshoot of the Canaanites. They had the same language as the Canaanites, the same alphabet, and they worshiped the same chief deity, namely the god El. In fact, at one point, Yahweh had a wife named Asherah, who it was the same like goddess that the Canaanites worshipped. Mr. Casey says they're too afraid their Bible's a lie. I think so. I think that the reason that no Christians are showing up is because deep down they know that their Bible's full of shit, and they know for a fact that they cannot defend it. Why is it that I? Oh, good. We have that got someone. We have here Shy Stone. Oh wait, no, they disappeared. No, oh, that was a. Never mind. Ignore that, Shy Stone. I didn't mean to invite you. Only come up if you actually want to come up. We had someone in the comments, but then they disappeared. I think maybe it was Muffin Man. I don't think they meant to call up. Charles Carroll is making a lot of comments in the comment section, and they said they want to debate me, but yet they are not coming up. What's that about?
They're scared.
By the way, guys, I'll put it out here so that you know here first and foremost. I mentioned it last night on Justin's live, but I'm going to be doing the Bible Guy podcast. Basically, I will be doing research on different topics regarding the Bible, and I will be talking about a subject for every episode of the podcast that I do. So look forward to that. So it means I won't be streaming live on Saturdays, but we'll be doing there was some Hooper. I think people keep asking to come up, but then they don't. Hooper, I think, is a friendly. And I think the reason for that is that when you tap a lot, sometimes you accidentally request to come up. It's all right. I understand. But listen, Christians, the Holy Spirit said through the author of 1 Peter, apparently, that you should always be ready to give an answer for the hope that is within you. So I'm questioning, is the Holy Spirit actually like giving you the power to speak? Jesus said that, you will not have to come up with the words for yourself, for the Holy Spirit will give you the words to speak. So is the Spirit just dead all of a sudden? 315 is busted down.
They must be. I think it was who said that. Ken said they must be tapping my face.
Kuma said, it's so funny to me that people who don't believe in the Bible seem to be a whole lot more well-read. Yes, Kuma, that's because the Bible is the number one instrument for creating atheists. That's right. That's what
the road to atheism is paved with well-read Bibles. And someone asked, why don't you have a YouTube channel? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
I do have a YouTube channel. Listen, guys, if you aren't already subscribed to the Bible Guy YouTube channel and you'd like to see some of our past debates, then go ahead and go to my bio, click on the link tree, and you'll find the YouTube page and the Cash App. I'm not afraid to ask for money.
They also want you to stream via YouTube, and what would you say to that?
Oh, well, I'm going to be streaming from YouTube pretty soon. So our friend Justin at the Deconstruction Zone has been so kind enough to build a PC for me. And just today he asked me for my address, so he's sending it in the mail, and I should be getting it within the next couple of weeks. And then after that, I'll have to buy a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, so that I can do dual streaming here and on YouTube. So if you want me to hurry up and get those materials, do a little donating.
Cyber says it's the end of the month. Yahweh must not have the tithes to pay the Holy Spirit Wi-Fi.
Yeah, what a guy. Okay, we got a guest. Jacob reads a lot. I hope he does. Jacob, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
No, I just wanted to say something.
What are you? Are you a Muslim? Are you an atheist? What's up?
I'm an atheist too. I just wanted to mention that for the Christians who believe in the Bible, they literally admit to writing the Bible as they were possessed. Which is just
That's actually not. I mean, there might be some like really simple Christians out there who have like a Sunday school education who think that that what it means for the Holy Spirit inspired scriptures, that like the Holy Spirit like possessed the authors and like was writing through them like a spirit medium. But in reality, most theologians believe that when the Bible was inspired by the Holy Spirit, that's not that the authors wrote what they wanted to write, but somehow God magically like made it to where they only could write what was true, but they were in full control of their faculties when they were doing it. So that's just what like Sunday school Christians believe about like inspiration about the Bible.
Right. I mean, I was
But
raised
Dalton, someone
Christian, so I mean, it's like I was raised like as like casual Christian almost.
What was that, Ash?
yeah, someone asked if you used Venmo or PayPal.
I do have a PayPal. I think I need to add that to my link tree. Um, and I'll do that as soon as this live ends. So like after this live ends, go back to my link tree like an hour after that, and you should find my PayPal there. For now, all I have is a Cash App there. Um, but yeah, that
Yeah,
yeah. So,
the reason why I ask is because the sooner he gets the funds, the sooner he will be dual streaming. He'll have the PC. He just needs a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. So it's all going back into the stream, guys.
someone said be Muslim. Oh, I think you should be Muslim. No way. I don't like pedophiles, and I definitely couldn't be part of a religion where like the pedophile was like the chief prophet at the very top of the ladder. But Jacob, I thank you for coming up, and W to you for being an atheist.
Yeah.
Lou, thank you for the lightning. Not you, Bible guy. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, you're an atheist. Just making sure. Just making sure. Words don't. No. I don't do that whole. I don't say PDF file and schmurder and all that kind of stuff. No, I say words. I say words here. I'm so fucking sick and tired of TikTok speech. I'm over it. Can't join. Want
Where
to
are the
debate? We'll go if not.
Christians?
Here, Charles. Charles seems to be incapable of of being able to come up. So here. There, invitation sent, Charles. Unless maybe Charles doesn't have enough followers, in which case they can't come up. Which
No,
might be
you
the
wouldn't be
problem.
able to send a request. No,
Oh
you
well.
wouldn't be able to send a request if they didn't have enough followers. It'll be blank.
Ah well, invite sent, Charles. Balls in your court. All right, thank you very
We
much. Yeah,
never
be
have
safe.
this much problem. We never have this much problem
Getting
getting
guests up
Christians.
here, yeah. Maybe I've developed maybe they know that they can't win the conversation. They know they don't have answers for what it is they believe, and therefore they are not willing to come up. Guys, if I've convinced you not to be a Christian, or I've convinced you that the Bible isn't worth its weight in salt, then just say so. Yeah, can we get some chickens, everybody, in the comment section? Dalton, do you like sushi? Some sushi. So last November, me and Ashlyn went to a Chinese place, well, not a Chinese place. It was just an Asian cuisine place over in the Dallas area, and I liked some of them, didn't like others, and also they made me eat something that was very disgusting.
No, we gave him edamame, but we didn't tell him how to eat it. So we just watched him try to eat it, like the thank you, everlasting, with the whole pod instead of just the bean. He likes miso soup, but he doesn't actually like raw fish. He likes cooked fish.
Oh yeah, love miso
Thank you,
soup.
everlasting.
Matt says my favorite atheist. Thank you, Matt. That's hilarious. Says Colette. I didn't think it was at the moment, but you know, it is what it is. W miso soup. Thank you for the heart and for the roses. Listen, guys, we've been on here for 30 minutes.
Oh, 666.
666. Hell yeah. We
And no.
damn, that's low key shady. Meanie. Damn, that's let's see. That's not as bad as eating wasabi and thinking it's avocado. I'm lucky I haven't had that experience yet. W666. If you need to get exposure to superstitious sheep herders from 3,000 years ago, uh, it's perfect. Yeah, if what you're looking for is the a bunch of sheep herders ethics, the Bible's the perfect place to go. Personally, I'm not interested in Bronze Age ethics. It's quite shite. I think women should be on equal standing with men. The Bible doesn't seem to believe that. I don't believe slavery is good. The Bible seems to think otherwise. And Jesus was not a good person. Yeah, you heard me say it,
Oh,
people.
Dalton, I told you about. I told you about. Just to entertain all the atheists. I'm sure they all know who Darth Dawkins is.
Gary?
Earlier today, he was arguing Gary. Yes, we call him Gary because that's his name. He was arguing young Earth creationism.
Well, another L for Gary. Of course he believes the Earth is 6,000 years old. What a chump.
He was trying to argue that the Grand Canyon wasn't formed through erosion.
I can't follow Darth Dawkins. He always invites P. Mars on his streams, who is a pedophile. Oh, I did not know that. Well, P.
Yeah,
Mars is...
he argues really disgusting stuff.
Of course he does.
I don't, I
He
yeah.
thinks the Earth is flat, too. Darth? Gary thinks that the Earth is flat? I mean, listen. I wouldn't be sure. Haroon says, Dalton, Jude 1:5. What was that? Jesus save Israelites? I'm not sure what your question even means, buddy. But let's take a look at Jude 1:5.
You should go get checked for a stroke.
Jude 1:5 says, "Now I desire to remind you, though you were once for all fully informed, that he who saved a people out of the land of Egypt afterward destroyed those who did not believe." No, that's not about Jesus. Jesus didn't save anyone from Egypt because, hey, Christians, here's another one for you. Jesus wasn't God. And the Gospel of John doesn't claim that he is. Man, I've been singing out. All Fox News debunked evolution. Fox News is absolute shite. If you're getting your information from Fox News, you're basically telling me you're brain dead. Let's see. What the?
Are there seriously still no Christians? Like, this is odd.
Gary is really sus. I think there is something very dark about his personality. I think what's really dark about him is his intellect, because, it's not there. His brain is a big dark void. What? Why so much persecution calling Christians brain dead? Oh my God, Georgia Love. If you think that calling you stupid because you're a Christian is persecution, I've got news for you. That's laughable. Do you realize that what actual Christian persecution used to look like? And back in the day, you have it so good. And as a Christian, you're at the fucking top of the food chain. Christians make up the majority of Americans. You are allowed to go to church every Sunday without being stopped. And you come up on these lives and say bullshit all the time. That's not persecution. We're just finally calling you out on your stupidity. Being called stupid is not persecution. It's just a fact.
And Pew Research indicates that somewhere between 2050 and 2070, Christians will be the minority based on current trends. So there is hope, guys.
Thank
There
Doug.
is hope.
Yeah, listen, if you want to see what actual Christian persecution looks like, go look at the way Christians live in Middle Eastern countries. Then get back to me and tell me about how you're persecuted because I called you an idiot. For a guy that puts Christians down, you read the Bible a lot. Yeah, Brotherhood of Steel. That's because, reading the Bible makes people into atheists. At least those who read the Bible honestly. But if you disagree, Brother of Steel, Get in the box. Come on up. I don't know why. There are so many Christians right now in my comment section who are whining and nagging in the comment section, and yet none of you seem to want to come up and actually talk to me. It's easy to be a keyboard warrior. It's hard to actually come up and face the music.
Yeah, this is definitely unprecedented. So anyone who isn't familiar with the stream, make sure you're following Dalton. Normally there are guests in here by this point. The noise. So yeah, make sure you're following, you're tapping, you're liking, and oh, finally, a guest.
Where?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello, Andy. Andy, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yes.
Finally. And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
He, him.
All right, look at that. Christians, let Andy be your I'm blanking all of a sudden. Your example. Fuck me. Andy, I'm Dalton the Bible guy. Andy, I don't believe in the Bible. Why should I believe in the Bible?
Dalton, that's a great question. I don't have all the answers, and I certainly won't be able to convince you to believe in the Bible on this live stream, but would love to dialogue and understand a little bit more about why you don't believe. I suspect that you know a lot more than I do about historical critical scholarship, but I'm trying to learn myself and really respect. I think just to start out, I have a deep appreciation for and sympathy for reasons why someone wouldn't believe. As I explore myself, Bart Ehrman, Dan McClellan, all of that, I can definitely kind of understand the rationale as to why someone wouldn't believe. So definitely no, I don't think there are any foolproof arguments in favor of, why someone would believe, but I think some that I think, I'll start with some of the reasons why I believe kind of rationally. I think it's a kind of a composition of personal experience and a logical thought. I think some of the kind of the rational arguments that are compelling to me in favor of something beyond the material world. I'll start there. One is just the existence of consciousness. 2 would be kind of the origins, primarily contingency. I think Kalam cosmological doesn't really strike me as compelling, given.
Yeah. The Kalam kind of requires you to believe the universe has a beginning, which I don't think it does.
Yeah. No boundary condition or no boundary proposal, quantum tunneling, lots of opportunities there for that not to exist.
And I don't think consciousness really provides really good evidence for God, because we kind of like have naturalistic explanations for where consciousness comes from, don't you think?
I think we have naturalistic explanations for the I guess the emergence of consciousness and the naturalistic explanations don't seem to me to provide the distinction between the physical neurology. What am I trying to say? The existence of essentially qualia seems categorically different than the material world. So even if consciousness emerges from the physical world, it seems to be categorically distinct from.
So wouldn't we be able to measure it then, if it's interacting with the physical world?
Yeah, that's the challenge. This seems to be kind of going back to the mind-body problem, where the mind seems to be immeasurable. I resonate with I'm blanking on the philosopher's name, but I want to say he's an Australian guy that he's an atheist, but he thinks that there's kind of a fundamental element of the universe that is consciousness that's independent.
Are you talking about Philip Goff?
It's not Philip Goff. It's someone else. Can't think of it right now.
Are you suggesting panpsychism here?
I think this guy might subscribe to panpsychism.
See, panpsychism, I don't think is you can make. I mean, how do we make an argument for the idea that atoms experience consciousness?
Yeah. Yeah, so this proposal or this guy, I think is just one philosopher out there who essentially is trying to describe that the material world isn't all there is. Yeah, I think there's panpsychism. I think in short, consciousness to me seems to suggest something beyond the material world, but I can understand the position of the
If
material world.
I think if panpsychism was true, it would just tell us that if it were deemed to be true through some sort of evidence, it would just tell us that consciousness is just a natural form. It's also natural. It just exists within the universe. But my thing is, Andy, when I take a look at the human mind and the human experience, I don't see anything in the human experience that cannot be explained by either the firing of synapses in the brain or the brain's interaction with certain chemicals and the rest of the body.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally agree that consciousness
So
is born out of all of those.
one of the biggest questions that I would have, if I were in your position and I thought this, is why is it the case that I can give something like risperidone and they seem to change a person's like attitudes and behaviors, what you would describe as the quality of consciousness? Why can I give someone a D2 blocker to change these things? Like, it wouldn't make sense to me that if there was this soul or this qualia outside of the brain, I shouldn't be able to give someone a schmug in order to do that.
A drug.
Right.
Yeah, a drug. Okay, I always forget. Yeah, I shouldn't be able to do that, and not only that, like I shouldn't be able to see cases like Phineas Gage, where he gets a railroad spike through his prefrontal cortex, and prior to this, he wasn't risk taking. I would consider risk taking and those like fundamental attributes part of your qualia. Why can those change when structures of the brain change and when brain chemistry changes?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I think that, the consciousness is dependent on the brain, right? So I think if you change the brain, if you change the characteristics of your neurology, it's going to affect your consciousness. I think the argument that I see a lot of philosophers making is essentially this mind-body problem, right? Why does consciousness exist at all, or rather, essentially, and I'm trying to do a terrible job at describing this, but for example, if you try to describe to someone the color red, I know this is an argument that's used all the time. Give them as much information about the color red as possible, but they haven't seen the color red. They won't actually be able to determine when they're seeing the color red based on a qualitative experience.
That's just first person subjective experience. That's just based off of prior experiences. I don't see how that indicates anything about a soul or consciousness. When I'm like, the problem with that is that we do know what it looks like in the brain when someone is experiencing red, right? We've got the occipital lobe in the very back of the brain. We've got our eyes. We've got cones and rods, specifically rods that have the ability, have specific photochemicals in them to pick up and detect between, I think it's like 400 and 700, a little where around there, nanometers of light. We know how vision works and we know how this is detected. Just because we don't know exactly all the time what first-person subjective experiences are of the color red, we're fairly certain that they're very similar among humans because that would make sense.
So what I'm seeing when I take a look at consciousness is that humans have consciousness, and then we see other animals have consciousness, and they're what we would generally call like their level of consciousness, just to speak like a layperson here, generally seems to correlate with the complexity of their brain structures. And we don't have any evidence that creatures without brains have any form of consciousness. They might be able to interact, but we don't see any evidence of them having consciousness. Plants, for example. It would seem like the what we call the mind is just being generated by the brain. So I fail to see how this could possibly lead us to, therefore, the Bible is true.
Oh yeah, I think this is a far step from the Bible is true. This is kind of the starting point that can convinces me or seems to imply that there's something beyond the material universe. And I think the upshot here is that, yes, the brain causes consciousness, but they are not identical. Subjective experience is not identical
But
to
your
reality.
your position is far less parsimonious. I mean, if you apply Occam's razor, you're just adding extra steps. When we have the explanation for our consciousness and behavior now, why should I take and add more that I have no evidence for? This doesn't make any sense to me.
No, what do you mean we don't have evidence for the existence of subjective experience? I'm just saying it's
No,
subjective
no, no, no.
experience is not
For the
identical
for the existence of like a soul or a spirit.
Yeah, no, and I'm not yet talking about the existence of a soul or spirit. I'm essentially the existence of consciousness being non-identical to the existence of the material universe is a step for me towards the existence of something outside of
But
materialism.
all the data seem to indicate that it is a physical, that consciousness is 100% completely just a physical thing within the universe. We don't have any data that seem to indicate otherwise.
Again, caused by attributes of the physical universe, but not
No,
identical to the
all,
physical
no, I mean
universe.
all the data seem to point in that direction. We don't
Caused,
have any.
yes,
Yeah, we don't.
caused.
But well, not that the brain is coming from that the mind is coming from the brain, and being
Correct.
generated
Yes,
by
I
it,
totally agree.
which would tell me that the brain, that what we call consciousness, is nothing more than just, again, the firing of synapses. So if all the data seems to indicate that, then I don't have any reason to think that this is non-physical or in the same category as a deity.
Yeah,
Well,
no, totally. But
let's give glia cells some credits. It's more than the firing of synapses. We're not neuron centric anymore in biopsychology.
right. No, I'm just trying to unpack the position of a lot of philosophers that would point to, yes, it's absolutely
Yeah, but they
causal,
don't.
but it's not identical to.
But
They
they don't
can't
have
even
any
agree on the soul.
evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
No, we absolutely have evidence. We have conscious experience. Everyone has their own subjective
yeah,
conscious
but you
experience.
don't have evidence that there's something else besides just the physical leading to this experience, because the brain follows the laws of physics, right? We know that when you have a negatively charged ion outside of a cell, it's going to try to rush in. We know that ATP, the form of energy, is the thing that's kind of holding it back from the fire and allowing for these ion channels and ion gates to open. Like, it follows everything that we would expect and has the outcomes. What you're doing is just adding extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. And like I said, there's no evidence for this extra stuff.
The evidence is just subjective experience. It's
That's not evidence.
the only thing we can know with absolute certainty that we actually have subjective experience, right? We're interpreting everything
But
through
our subjective experience is just all that's still coming from the brain, and that all the data seem to indicate that. So I think we need to rein this back into, like, Andy, why should I believe that the Bible is true? And this conversation about consciousness isn't getting me anywhere closer to the goal of believing in the Bible.
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely a rabbit hole of consciousness. So I think, before getting to, I think for me, before I start to approach the Bible, it helps me to essentially understand the potential evidence for the existence of the immaterial, or rather of something beyond the material universe. And so I think what leads me in that direction is existence of consciousness, the existence of something rather than nothing.
I would say, Anthony, that there's no evidence that nothing could ever even exist. That we have no evidence that there was ever a nothing, because you cannot get something from nothing, and there is currently something. Therefore, there was never nothing, and the universe has always existed. You cannot create nor destroy matter.
Quantumly, or from a quantum standpoint.
And also, by the way, the
Okay,
Bible
understand.
doesn't teach creation ex nihilo, that God created the universe out of nothing. That's not in the Bible.
Yeah, right. No, agreed. I tend to, from a biblical standpoint, I tend to view Genesis 1 as more of a functional creation perspective. John Walton has been a big influence for me. But so The good point. The only evidence that we have is that there can be something. Um, I think there's tons of philosophers that have debated this. You obviously have the argument from contingency, Aquinas. I think this is something that can't be
I would
proven.
just say that
Yeah.
the fundamental particles and subatomic particles of the universe are themselves necessary, and they could not exist
Why do you say that?
because we have no evidence that they could not exist. As far as the data are concerned, again, because you can't get something for nothing, I have no reason to think that that subatomic particles just ever came into existence.
Right. So subatomic particles, according to some theories, came into existence through quantum
Well,
fluctuations, right?
Well, no, they don't come into existence through quantum fluctuation. They're just given mass when they interact with the Higgs field. But they still existed prior to their interaction with the Higgs boson. They just didn't have mass before, but they still existed. They were still there. They weren't nothing. Nothing like you see Lawrence Krauss's book, A Universe from Nothing. He's just using nothing, not in the sense of no thing, but he just means lack of matter that doesn't have mass.
So essentially, like quantum fluctuations, right, or the quantum field theory, if you will. So
Yeah, that's still very much a something.
yeah. So I guess the question would be like, how do we know that the quantum field has to exist, right?
I don't know anything about quantum fields because I'm not a scientist.
Do you have an argument for why we should believe the Bible, though?
Sure. Yeah. Let me get there. So let's say that we go through all these logical train of thought, and we come to the conclusion that maybe there is some type of immaterial world, maybe some type of God exists. So let's say we get to that point.
But is it Yahweh?
Yeah, we can grant you that for the sake of this argument. Say we grant you all
Yes.
those things.
Right.
There is a deity. Why should we think that it's the God in this book, the Bible?
Yeah. Good question. I think probably the most compelling line of argumentation for me is the resurrection. All right, and there's countless arguments for and against the resurrection
Why?
hypothesis.
Why do you think that we should believe that Jesus of Nazareth resurrected as opposed to him still being very much dead?
I'd probably take a maximalist, so minimalist versus maximalist arguments. I'd probably lean.
Are you about to use Gary Habermas's minimal theory?
I'm not, but I would hold it up as an alternative. That
All right.
compelling.
What do you think are the indisputable facts surrounding Jesus' death and resurrection? We can go by them one by one, and we'll see if I agree with them or where I disagree with them.
Yeah, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I think, and you probably remember these better than me, but Jesus existed. He lived. He was an apocalyptic preacher of some sort.
Probably.
He was crucified.
Yep.
He was buried in some form, whether a mass grave or a.
Yeah, mass grave probably.
Yeah, I don't know what the historical critical scholarly consensus on that is.
Yeah, more scholars are starting to, or a lot of scholars are no longer convinced that Jesus was actually buried in a tomb because Paul never mentions a tomb, and it was the standard treatment of crucifixion victims that they would be thrown in mass graves. All Paul tells us that Jesus was buried. He doesn't say how he was buried, and the idea that the story of Mary Magdalene being the first person to an empty tomb. Paul says the first person that Jesus quote appeared to was Peter, and he never mentions an empty tomb. He never uses an argument for an empty tomb as proof that Jesus is resurrection.
Right. So yeah, I don't know all the scholarship on, or can't remember all the scholarship on the empty tomb. I know there are some arguments in favor of the empty tomb, so I wouldn't want to dismiss it.
I mean, I don't think there could be an empty tomb if there's not a tomb.
Right, but if they buried, I mean, there's critical scholars that advocate for the tomb, right?
Yeah, I would ask these critical scholars, are they able to derive that Jesus was buried in a tomb from any source other than the Gospels? Because I think the Gospels are myths about Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's where the maximalist approach for the case for the resurrection comes into play. And I'm certainly a scrub at describing it. It has, I don't know if you're familiar with the line of argumentation Lydia McGrew and others have put forth that essentially would rely heavily on the reliability of the Gospels to make the case.
But we don't know who wrote the Gospels or where they're getting their information about Jesus, and the Gospels absolutely do contradict each other on matters regarding the biography of Jesus. Like, they can't even agree as to what decade the man was born in.
Yeah, totally. I tend to agree with Mike Lycona's approach to gospel interpretation as Greco-Roman biographies that are using literary devices to.
I would disagree. I don't think they don't match the category of bios of Greco-Roman biographies, because at least with Greco-Roman biographies, what we tend to see, like for example in the works of Josephus or in Plutarch's work, that we know at least would know who the author is. The author would sometimes cite their sources, and the author would sometimes even express skepticism about, well, some people say that this happened, but other people say this happened. We do see that typically in Herodotus and Plutarch, and even in the works of Josephus. The Gospels are anonymous stories that tell things about Jesus. They tell them very straightforwardly, as if there is no question whatsoever about whether this or that happened. And we do have that evidence of the Gospels copying from each other and then making things up about Jesus. Like, how many donkeys did Jesus ride into Jerusalem on?
Yeah, was it one or two, right?
In Mark, it was one, and then Matthew, because he misread the prophet Zechariah, turns it into 2 donkeys in order to force Jesus to actually fulfill what he thinks the prophecy should say.
Right. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think there's a lot of liberties that the gospel authors take with interpretation of scripture. Probably some midrash type of.
Like, Andy, do we have any good reason to think that Jesus was even born in Bethlehem as opposed to Nazareth?
Yeah, other than the Gospel of, was it Matthew or Luke? I'm blanking.
Well, Matthew and Luke each have a version of the story that gets Jesus to be born in Bethlehem. Matthew presents Jesus as just living in Bethlehem, and then they only relocate to Nazareth under certain circumstances, while the Gospel of Luke presents Jesus as being from Nazareth, going to Bethlehem for a census and happened to be born there, and then returning to Nazareth afterwards.
Right.
It seems like the author of Matthew made up a story about Jesus being born in Bethlehem, because again, we know that Matthew isn't opposed to making up facts about Jesus in order to fulfill prophecies. So the idea that he would make up a story in order for Jesus to be born in Bethlehem is not beyond reason. And Luke, the tradition has already been established by the time we get to Luke, and Luke writes his own version of the narrative.
Yeah.
But listen, I got another guest waiting in the comments, Andy. So I think we should probably wrap this up, and you're more than welcome to come back on another day.
Cool. Sounds good. Appreciate the conversation, guys.
Have a good day, Andy. All right, now we're going to talk to Seth.
They were nice enough.
Yeah, they were very nice. Better than our first
Good
guest
guest.
today. Seth, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yes.
All
To
right.
an extent.
And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
I'm a man.
He? All right, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible
Yeah, I'm a
guy.
man.
Seth, I don't believe in the Bible. Seth, why should I believe in the Bible?
Okay, tell me why you don't.
I don't believe in the Bible because it has historical and scientific.
If you can give me a reason, because I'm gonna give you
Yeah,
several reasons that the Bible is real.
Sure. I'll just tell
Okay,
you, it's
first and
just because
foremost, do you
it
have DNA? Okay, hold on, hold on.
one second,
Because I've
Seth.
been
You asked me a
listening.
question,
Yeah,
so
I've been listening to the whole.
yeah,
I've been listening to the
I'm just
whole
gonna
conversation.
answer your question. You already asked me a question. I'm gonna answer it. You say, why
Okay.
don't I? Because it has scientific and historical errors. It has contradictions, and Jesus didn't fulfill any prophecies.
Okay, but
So, what's
so
the reason why you do believe in the Bible?
so the theology that you're getting from is books, correct?
Yeah, the only things I know
You have
about
not. You
the
have.
Bible
Hold
is
on.
from reading the
Listen.
Bible.
You have not. You have not lived it. Am I correct?
Oh, I used to be a Christian.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm
No, I
saying
didn't.
the theology.
I didn't live.
The
I didn't live
theology that
2,000
you
years
get.
ago. That's correct.
You did not. Correct.
No, I did not live 2,000 years ago.
Okay. So 2,000 years ago, Yahuwah, which that's his real name. It's not Jesus.
Yahuwah.
That JC thing.
Yahuwah
That
is a
JC thing is not.
Yahuwah is a made up word. There is no, it's not a real Hebrew word. And
Oh,
also
yes, it is.
Jesus's name in Hebrew wouldn't even be Yahuwah. You're thinking about the
It's
tetragrammaton.
Yahusha, actually. His name, yeah, in Hebrew, would be
No, there's
Yahusha,
never
right?
there's never been
Because in the
there's
scripture,
never
hold on,
been
listen. You said you
wait
were
wait
gonna let
wait,
me
wait.
talk.
I just got to
Hold on.
respond to this point because this is silly. There's never been a Jewish or Hebrew man ever in history born in Israel by the name of Yahusha or Yahshua or whatever. In
No,
Hebrew,
I didn't say that.
the name of
Yahusha
the name Yahusha
means
is not a real.
Yah.
No,
So
Yahusha
Yah,
is not. So here, Seth, wait. Let me respond. The name of Jesus in Hebrew is spelled Yud Shin Vav Ayin, and the Yud has a Shava under it. The Shin has a Shurek under it. The Vav has a Cholam, and the Ayin has a Kamatz. The correct pronunciation, and it's a name that still exists to this day, is Yeshua.
No, that's not true.
Yes, that is how you pronounce the word Yeshua
No,
in Hebrew.
it's not. Okay, then
Can you actually
what
read
is
Hebrew?
the Father's name? Then what's the Father's name?
The best scholarly reconstruction for the tetragrammaton that we're able to devise is Yahweh.
Okay, so does that sound anything like Yeshua?
No, why would it?
Okay, then
It's a
why does
different
Scripture
name.
say that what Yahusha says? Okay, so Yahuwah, right,
Yahuwah.
means Yah adds breath, and I'm going to prove you wrong, guy, right here.
No,
I'm going to
that's not
prove
what
you
that.
wrong.
That's
Do
not
you
what
know
that means.
that
So
your
the name.
DNA?
So
Do
that's
you
not
know
what.
that?
That's not what that means. Yeshua in Hebrew is the shortened form of the name Yehoshua, which means Yahweh is salvation. The word salvation in Hebrew is Yeshua with a hey at the end, and then you add the tetragrammaton at the beginning and it becomes Yehoshua. That's because back in the Old Testament there was a man whose name was Hosea ben Nun, and when the theophoric element was introduced into his name by Moses, his name was Yehoshua, and his name remained Yehoshua until around the time of the Second Temple period, when certain Hebrew names begin to be truncated, and you go from the name Yehoshua to Yeshua. You can unmute yourself now. You can unmute yourself. Here, I've
I
invited
just
you
want
to
to say,
unmute yourself.
I feel like
Myself.
I feel like Yoo-Hoo needs to get on getting mad at this trademark. It's way too close.
Or
The
the
marketing team.
or the Yahoo search engine.
Okay.
But go on, Seth.
Okay, so if you look up Yahuwah in the
Yahweh.
Hebrew, Yahuwah, look it up.
Yahweh. Yeah, Yahweh is the third person. Is the third person form of the word Ehyeh, which means I will be.
Okay. Now, can I speak now without you interrupting?
Sure. Let's
Okay.
see what you have to say about Hebrew.
Okay. So Yah, okay, means Yah, which is the Father, the Creator, adds breath, life.
What's the
Okay?
Hebrew word for breath? No, it's the word for breath in Hebrew. The word for
Yah
no.
adds
No, the Hebrew
Yahuwah.
word for breath is ruach. It's the same word as spirit.
No, that's spirit. Yeah, ruach.
Yeah, breath and spirit, those are synonyms in Hebrew. It's
okay.
ruach.
So,
Hey, Seth, I have a question.
maybe like hold on.
Can I ask you a question? Can I just? It's real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For sure.
Just Seth.
Yeah.
Do you read or speak Hebrew?
I'm learning it. I'm studying it. I'm learning it. Do I
Well,
speak it
can you
fluently?
like give
No.
me the
I can say
alphabet
Hamashiach.
Aleph through
That's
Tev? Can you give me the alphabet like Aleph through Tev?
no, I cannot.
All right.
I cannot.
Don't you generally start with the alphabet when you're learning a language?
I don't think not at my age. I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm just gonna learn what I need
I
to
did.
know. So,
But here,
so,
what's
so
I'm curious.
That's all. That's all I
okay,
had.
I'm
okay, right
curious
on.
to see what your point is. So breath in
Okay,
Hebrew is
so anyway,
ruach.
if you look at Yahuwah, right? Yah
Yahuwah.
adds life, or Yah adds breath.
Life in Hebrew is chai.
Okay, so if you look at that, the numbers are 10, 5, 6, 5,
I don't believe
right?
in gematria. That's a later
So
invention of the
your
Jewish people.
DNA
They
that
didn't.
runs through you
What
of all living
Seth,
things.
Seth. I don't believe in gematria. That's just a later invention of the Jewish people. They didn't believe in gematria in the time of biblical Hebrew.
I'm saying your DNA that runs through all living things. Your human DNA, if you go to the doctor, your human
10,
DNA will run
10, 5,
10,
6.
5, 6, 5. It will run 10,
No.
5, 6, 5.
What
Every
do you mean? What
person
do
in
you
this
think that?
world
What does that mean? What do you
will
think
have
that
10, 5,
means? 10,
6,
5,
5.
6, 5. Because my DNA is
Look it
made up
up.
of. My DNA is made up of 4 acids, namely guanine, thymine, cytosine, and adenine.
Okay.
I don't have any 6, 5, 10, 5 in my.
I
There are
promise
no
you do.
numbers in my DNA.
I promise you there is. And that just
No,
shows you're ignorant.
there's not numbers in my body.
Because you're
That's not how
trying to
that
be all
works.
scientific. If you go to Google
Yes.
and
When you
you
talk about
ask Google
when you talk about
about what your
DNA,
DNA is,
yeah, when you
it
talk
is
about
10, 5, 6,
DNA,
5.
no, when you talk about DNA, I'm going to bring up science because that is biology.
Sure.
What does
Yeah. I
DNA?
mean,
What is
yeah.
without googling it? What does DNA stand for?
I have no clue. I didn't claim
Diribonucleic
to be a
acid. It's like,
scientist.
yeah,
Deoxyribonucleic.
yeah. Don't make claims about DNA if you don't know
No,
anything
so
about it.
I googled it. No,
Okay.
I googled it. No, DNA isn't described in numbers like 10565. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, it's made up of 4 nucleotide bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. So Dalton was
Shocker.
right. You were wrong according to Google. You said Google it. I did.
Are you by chance a member of the Hebrew Roots movement? Because these are some very Hebrew Roots movement kind of
No,
arguments you're putting
absolutely
forward.
not, man. I was raised Southern Baptist. Then I went and joined Church of Christ. And then I started searching the truth on my own at 2:30 one morning.
Why didn't you learn? Why didn't you bother learning Hebrew from actual Hebrew speakers?
Because I didn't know anything about it. I was
Yeah,
I was looking on the internet.
I would never just make stuff up about Hebrew. I would go to a Hebrew teacher, which is what I did. I learned Hebrew from people who actually knew Hebrew. So you made a lot of claims today about the Hebrew language, which simply are not true.
So there's 2 different Hebrews, though.
No,
There's ancient Hebrew. Yes, there is.
no. I learned ancient.
Yes.
I learned ancient. Yeah, there's ancient Hebrew,
There's
and there's
Paleo
modern,
Hebrew,
and then
or
there's modern
whatever it's
Hebrew.
called, Picto Hebrew. There's Picto Hebrew, and then there's
Pictographic Hebrew is
something.
just
Yeah.
pictographic Hebrew and Paleo Hebrew and the Hebrew of Jesus' time were all the same language. The only difference was the alphabet they used.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how can you keep saying that the Savior's name is Jesus when the letter J is only since 15?
Seth.
What? It's only
I'll
like
tell
600
you how,
years old.
Seth, I'll tell you how we got the name Jesus. I'll tell you step by step how we got the name Jesus. Okay, so you start with the Hebrew. This is just education for everyone's purpose as well.
It went through the Romans, and then it went to the Greeks, and then it went to the Latin.
No. So yeah, let me just break it down for everyone. You start with the Hebrew name Yeshua, which is spelled Yod Shin Vav Ayin. Now, if you want to bring the name Yeshua into Greek, Seth, what do you have to do? So let's say, for example, the name Yeshua occurs a few times in the Hebrew Bible. It occurs in books like Nehemiah and Ezra, where it refers to Joshua as Yeshua ben Nun. When the Jewish scribes chose to translate the Hebrew Bible into Greek in what we call the Septuagint, what name did they choose to render Yeshua as? Your internet's
Seth,
really
I think
bad.
your internet's not doing so hot.
He's got that
Yeah,
wilderness.
so I'm
internet.
on I-10 right now.
Are you driving right now, Seth? Seth, are you driving?
Yeah. I'm driving to Louisiana.
All right. No driving.
Seth, you can't.
Do not drive in live. I'll go ahead and tell the audience.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's
I'll go ahead.
dangerous, guys.
Just for the sake of education, I'll just let all you know. You get the name Yeshua. There are no sh sound. There's no sh sound in Greek. The closest you can get to it is an S sound with the letter sigma. So you get iota, eta, sigma, omicron, upsilon. You get Yesu. But in order to make it masculine, it has to end with a sigma, the letter sigma. So it becomes Jesus. That's how you would render Yeshua into Greek. And then from Greek, you get Latin, where you get the IESUS. And then sometime about 400 years ago, we started to introduce the letter J into our language. And Jesus Jesus becomes Jesus. There's nothing wrong with referring to Jesus as Jesus. I know that there are some people who are purists who say, no, you have to call him by his original Hebrew name. But no, we speak English. And generally, when we talk in English, when we want to convey to people that we're talking about a very specific Jewish rabbi from Nazareth, we call that individual Jesus. If you want to call him an English name besides Jesus, just call him Joshua or Josh, because that's what Yeshua means.
I'm gonna call him Ted.
Or Oily Josh is what we call him. All right.
Or Oily Joss.
We have a guest here, Knowledge. Knowledge, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests before we move forward with the conversation. Question number 1, how are you at least 18?
Absolutely.
All right, question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Absolutely.
All right, and question number 3, what are your pronouns?
That would be a sir.
No, that's not a pronoun. Do you know what pronouns are?
He, she, he, them.
Yeah, so which ones do you go by?
I prefer the he.
All right, you are Knowledge, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. I don't believe in the Bible. Knowledge, why should I believe in the Bible?
Awesome. So I'm actually here to convince you to believe in the Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were standing with, why. But anyway, I would say that it would be biblical instructions before leaving Earth. This is just my perception, by the way.
What was that?
I'm sure we have our critics. I would say that this would be the Bible would be biblical instructions before leaving Earth.
You know that? Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I grew up when I was 5 years old. I learned that Bible was an acronym for a basic.
I'm gonna go ahead and scratch that off my list right there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Bible is not an acronym for like biblical or basic instructions before leaving Earth. The word Bible comes from a Greek word biblos. It just means books. That's it.
Cool. Well, I don't know. I see them do it to many words, all the time. I thought it would be starting off by being cool by, I thought I was trying to persuade you to believe in the Bible now, okay? So let's try to stay on a good path right now, right? So besides you not believing that it's biblical instructions before leaving Earth, do you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
No, I think Jesus is a dead rabbi.
Okay, I will definitely agree with you.
We're atheists.
We're atheists now.
We're atheists.
The reprobate mind section. Okay. My bad. I did not know where I was coming from. I'm sorry, guys.
Are you in? I thought you. So okay.
Okay, you're not a Bible believer. Okay.
Why should we believe in the Bible?
Because it's.
Then why did you answer the question that you
Go ahead.
believe?
I'm sorry. What was you going to say? Sorry about that.
You need to speak up.
I'm very
faint.
confused.
I know what my target is, sir.
Yeah, you're very faint. I need you to speak up. Knowledge.
Sorry, sir. Mic check 1 3. Are we hearing me now?
Yeah, are you covering your mic up?
Okay,
Awesome.
are
Awesome.
you a Christian? Do you
Yes.
believe in the Bible?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
why
Okay, go ahead.
why should we believe in the Bible? Just give us an argument. Your best argument, the best one you got, of why Dalton and I should, and the audience, those who are atheists, should take this text and believe it to be true.
Honestly, I believe that you should be um, more in tune to the Bible in the sense of
Uh,
acknowledging the words itself.
well, I
You
acknowledge
want
that
me to
I
give you
acknowledge
a?
that the
Go ahead.
Bible
I'm
has
sorry.
I acknowledge that the Bible has words
Yes, sir.
and that those words convey meaning, but the problem is that the meaning that
Yes,
those
sir.
words convey do not comport to reality.
Say for instance, I'm just using an example like an allegory, right, or metaphors or parables itself.
No, I only
Let's say,
I only take the parts of the Bible as metaphor, allegory when the occasion calls for it. Like for example, when
Oh,
Jesus
okay.
tells a when Jesus tells a parable,
Right.
that's a parable. Therefore, I take it as a
Right,
parable.
but I'm pretty sure it
When I'm
doesn't tell
reading
you that
when
it's a
I'm reading the
parable. It just
poetry
refers
or
to something
reading
meaningful.
Job, those are poetical works. But when I'm reading a narrative about history, then I'm
Right.
going to take it as a history and I'm going to compare it to
This would be
actual
like
history.
Deuteronomy and Leviticus, correct? Like
Yeah.
Hey,
such,
knowledge,
like such.
when
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Dalton's
sorry about that.
speaking and you're speaking,
No
no
one
one
can
can hear
understand
you.
you.
Oh, got you. We're only on a one accord here. Got you. Go ahead, Duncan.
So why should I, Duncan, believe in the Bible?
Um, hopefully it's because I could provide some donuts when I'm done talking, man. So you are saved under His grace,
Saved from what?
eternal life. Well, don't you see all what's going around in this world, man? Come on, bro.
Saved from what?
We're basically living in modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, bro. Come on.
I wish.
Wow,
that would be great. I'd love a little
Hey,
butt
yo,
play if I
send me
could
an
get
invite
some.
later. But yeah, I got you.
So wait. Whose daughter is getting raped that you know?
Yeah.
Well, I have
I'm concerned.
Well, I wouldn't. That would be self-incrimination. I'll be going to jail for elaborating about that. But I have no.
Listen,
about
Why?
what am I being saved from? Knowledge that what could Jesus, who I think is dead, possibly save me
Yes.
from?
Hopefully, he still is. Hopefully, because that would be miraculous, man. So I've never lived on Earth and seen anyone rise within 3 days, bro.
Neither have I. Look,
Awesome.
I'm not.
Awesome.
Listen, Knowledge. I'm not quite convinced that you're capable of having this conversation with us, and I think we need to move
I
on.
already see that you're taking it out of context of what I'm saying as well. So I might as well.
I don't.
just
The
skedaddle.
problem, Knowledge, is I don't know what it is you're saying. You're very
Yeah,
you're very
I'm trying to explain
incoherent.
to you.
So
Oh,
what is
sorry, go ahead.
Jesus? So what is Jesus saving me from?
Your sins.
I don't believe in sin. Sin is when you break God's law. If
Yes,
God doesn't
transgression of the
exist,
laws.
yeah, if God doesn't exist and he never gave a law and only humans gave what we call the law of God,
Ouch.
then I don't care about like what you
Right,
call sin. Like the Bible calls it sin to eat pork, but yet, you know what?
Yes.
Love that
It's
shit.
said to eat pork in the Bible, sir?
No, it says it's a sin to eat pork in the Bible.
Oh, okay, got you. I was so astonished a while ago.
Yeah. So I don't care what's considered sin because that's just the opinion of some
okay.
Bronze Age Israelites.
Can I say something pertaining to what you just said?
Sure.
Awesome. In terms of the law itself, right? Would we both agree that transgression of the law is not an excuse?
An excuse for what?
When I say transgression, I meant to say ignorance. But I'm
Ignorance.
pretty sure
I'm not ignorant of the law. I'm
okay,
very
gotcha,
familiar with the
gotcha.
Torah.
I was just letting you know that is a law in court that is upheld by the court system itself.
Listen, I think that for the sake of my audience and for the sake of my brain, I think I'm going to
Yes,
move
sir.
on to the next guest.
Got you.
But
I got you.
you have a good day.
Have a blessed
I
day, sir. Don't sneeze.
Duncan
And
out.
everybody go to the police. I don't know what crime he committed, but go to the police.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the
Why?
next guest. We have.
Why after I said raping of women, and then he's like, I don't want to talk about it because I might be convicted of a crime. What?
Oh, I didn't catch that. Gee whiz.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for the cap. All right, Mattia.
Yeah, thank y'all for the gifts. We appreciate y'all.
We have Mattia Wamena. Mattia, I'm going to ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are, before you can move forward with the conversation. Question number 1: are you at least 18?
I am well beyond.
All right. Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
No.
Well, we are only accepting Bible believers at the time.
I,
But Mattia,
I kind of guess so, but I just want to, like, for the education of the audience and myself, the Sefer thing with the Yahuwah and Yahusha, right? Those
the
names.
Sefer Bible.
Can you give us kind of just from your education and how you know this stuff, like how they came up with those? Because I knew that they were false and that there was no kind of credibility, and I just wanted to hear from someone in your shoes,
So I used to be a member of the Hebrew Roots movement a long time ago, and the members of my congregation used to have a copy of what was called the Sefer Bible. And this was a Bible that was a sacred namer Bible, and it had the name Yahuwah in it. And I've heard a number of different explanations for how some people get to the understanding that the name of God is pronounced Yahuwah, including this very silly one we heard earlier. But the main version that I've heard is that they think the name of Judah in Hebrew is Yehuda. Hello, Elizabeth. Yehuda, even though it's not, it's Yehuda. And if you in the difference between the name Judah in Hebrew, thank you for the hat, for the wizard hat. Ciao. Anyways, the difference between Judah in Hebrew and Yahweh in Hebrew is by one letter. So they thought if we remove that one letter, the letter Dalet, you go from Yehuda to Yahuwah, which is just not how Hebrew works. Everybody, if you take away one letter from a Hebrew word, sometimes it has completely different vowels and doesn't bear the same meaning whatsoever. So let's do it again, Yahuwah. Anyways, What was your name? Mattia, thank you for coming up, and we are going to move on to someone who does believe in the Bible, though.
Yeah, thanks, man. I just wanted a little clearer explanation because I knew it was false. I love the karate chop, by the way. Every time you say Yahuwah, it's classic.
Oh yeah, it's just my way of bringing about as much silliness to the conversation as they bring to the conversation when they start using that silly name. We have Ordinary Mystic. Ordinary Mystic, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
I am.
And question number 2, do you believe in the Bible?
I do.
All right. And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
He, him.
All right. Ordinary Mystic, I'm the Bible guy. I don't believe in the Bible. Mystic, why should I believe in the Bible?
You can drop me too if you need to. I just came up for my own educational purposes as well. I've watched you guys for a while. I'm interested in hearing if you are able to explain how you got to the point to call Jesus a dead rabbi. I've always heard you guys talk about mythicism.
Oh yeah, because because I currently hold to a historical Jesus proposition. Because I've considered the evidence for different positions and I found them wanting. Still currently, for everyone who doesn't know, I'm currently reading through Dr. Richard Carrier's book on the historicity of Jesus, and I will make my decision on that book within the next 5 months as I finish doing research on it. But for now, I hold the historical Jesus point. And because Christians aren't able to provide for me evidence that he resurrected, I'm just going to say dead rabbi.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll be watching you guys and see what you have to say about that book. But that's all I was going to ask.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Someone in the comment said you should say Yahuwah like Al Pacino. Yahuwah! I can't do a good Al Pacino voice. But he talks like this. Yahuwah! Anyways, we got Dirty Roger. Dirty Roger.
So close, Dalton.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna ask you some questions, Dirty Roger. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
I am. I'm 30.
All right. Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
I am.
And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
Hey, sorry, can you hear me okay? I'm driving.
Oh, nope. No. Sorry. Do not drive and live, people. It is dangerous. You wouldn't text while driving. Don't live while driving, please, for the love of Doug. All right, we got Monad. Monadic Sphere. Monad is a friendly, I'm pretty sure. I think we've spoken with them quite a few times.
Yeah, they're friendly.
Yeah, Monad.
Yeah.
Where'd they go? Well, they disappeared. So I guess I'll bring up Paul Willis, 99.
Maybe.
Paul Willis, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests. And by the way, Cut Dagger, you know you liked what I just did. Anyways, Paul Willis, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yes.
And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
I don't do pronouns, but I can.
But you just did it. You just did it.
I know, but it's against my religion.
Well, no, but then don't use them. You just use if pronouns are against your
But
religion.
I negotiate.
You just did that. You just did it again.
I only believe in negotiating.
You just did it again.
Paul.
You
Paul,
keep using
Paul,
pronouns.
You're offending me.
No, Paul. Me is a pronoun.
But
You
using
said I
pronouns
and me,
Then
those are
use the-
pronouns.
Then use the word me.
No, Paul. That's a pronoun. You're
Okay,
saying
okay, then use
her.
Then
Are
use
you lying?
me.
Paul, I think you're lying
Then
to
use-
me.
then use
Paul,
me.
Paul, I think you're lying to me because you said pronouns
No,
are
it's
against
a-
my religion.
no, telling pronouns. Telling
No. You keep telling me that pronouns are against your religion, but you keep using them at me. So, listen, I don't talk to liars, so I'm going to need you to actually tell me what your actual pronouns are. I'm listening. If the 6th grade was hard, I get it, but everyone has pronouns.
Jesus and God used pronouns.
Yeah, Jesus and God used
Jesus
pronouns.
and God had
I
pronouns.
said telling you my pronouns.
No, that it's not against your religion. Are you a Christian?
It is. It is. No.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Then no, it's not against your religion.
It is
So
against
tell me
my
what your
religion.
pronouns are.
Don't tell
No,
me
it's
what's
not.
against my religion.
Paul.
So-
Okay, no, but actually, Paul, provide me a chapter and verse that says you shall not provide your pronouns.
There is only male and female.
No, that doesn't tell me that. Male and
It
female.
tells me that
Male and female are sex. Listen, this is a litmus test, and you're failing it so
it's a
badly.
negotiation.
No, it's not negotiable. This is not negotiable.
No,
you're not able to provide.
Hey, Paul.
This is not
Paul,
negotiable.
do you think you're like needed here or something? Like we
can
don't.
drop me,
We
you can
could like.
drop me.
You're being a baby,
Okay.
Paul. No, wait, Paul. I'm gonna
Don't
need
be
you to provide.
afraid.
Paul, I'm gonna need you to actually provide me a Bible verse that says you're not allowed to hand out your pronouns, or you don't have to.
I disagree with the neo-Marxists
No,
who came
find
up with
me-
that
no,
idea.
fi-
With
no,
I
find me the
disagree-
Bible verse. Find me the verse.
I disagree with the social construction.
No. Find me the verse that says you're not supposed to provide your pronouns.
The
No, it's not.
philosophy
It's not a philosophy.
It is. Who does
It's
it come
called
from?
grammar, Paul. It's called grammar.
No, who does it? I know where it comes
No.
from.
Provide me the Bible verse. You're being
Social
such
constructs
a.
are real.
You're being such a baby.
Constructs are real.
You're being such a
Social
baby right
constructs
now.
Are real.
All right.
I don't believe with
Sorry,
those
Paul.
philosophers.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Don't
do.
be af-
You're a liar.
Did he just
And you're
try
also-
to blame? Did he just try to? Did
But
he
it's
just
a-
try to blame communism on
Yeah.
pronouns?
Everyone put some bottles in the chat because Paul was a huge ass baby and also was too stupid to know how pronouns worked. God uses
Those
pronouns.
damn
Listen,
communistic pronouns.
Paul, you believe God doesn't have a penis?
Yeah,
I think
she.
Yeah. Paul,
She. Yeah.
You don't believe-
I'm just
you don't
gonna
believe that-
Make my best guess.
Yeah, you don't believe that God has a penis, and you don't believe God's a biological male. Yet you keep calling him a him. So you do believe in pronouns. So don't be a fucking idiot on my live. That's all I have to ask. All right. Wow, crazy. She was having a rough time. I agree. See, yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, everyone, keep tapping the screen. We've got about an hour before the live is over with because I'm going to be, after this is over, I'm going to be spending some time with my sister and watching the Netflix series Evil. Paul, you're more than welcome to come back up, but you just got to provide me your actual pronouns
some
and stop
issues.
being a baby.
I have
It's
some
a good
issues
show,
with
and
that show, Dalton.
don't. I don't want to hear it because that's my favorite
No,
show. I don't want to hear your issues with it because I don't want to ruin it. It's my favorite
no.
show.
Kristen, the psychologist is like, well, even if she committed murder, like we can't report her. It's patient-client confidentiality. No,
Yeah.
you are required. You are a
Otherwise,
mandated reporter, ma'am.
otherwise, it's a really good show. Yeah. Thank you for the teddy bear hat. Give them random
Okay.
nonsensical neopronouns.
At least she called it dissociative identity disorder. I will give her that.
Yeah, I think mostly they get the psychology terms correct. For whoever hasn't seen it yet, Evil is a show about a forensic psychologist who takes a job with the Catholic Church in order to assess whether or not individuals who may or may not be possessed by demons are actually possessed by demons, or they're suffering from some sort of like psychological phenomenon. And well, it turns out in the show demons are real and stuff, but it's a thrilling show. It's really fun to watch if you're a fan of it's like Catholic the Catholic X-Files in a sense. Yeah, the Catholic C-Files. Which is weird because the Catholics usually just have PDF files, but whatever.
Oh, you stole it. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I beat you to it. So Christians, if you're a Christian and you want to come up and talk to me about the Bible and why I should believe in the Bible, why don't you think Jesus fulfilled Micah 5:2? Simple, because Micah 5:2 doesn't say the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem. It says that his going forth is from Bethlehem, and it's not referring to him going forth from a physical place, but rather that his going forth is from a lineage, being the lineage of King David, who was from Bethlehem. And we have no good evidence to suggest that Jesus of Nazareth was actually a descendant of King David. If you're a Christian out there and you disagree with me and you think Jesus was a descendant of King David, come up and let's have that discussion.
Christians don't know their Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible rather very well, so I don't think they'll be able to.
Arm Wrestling Nation says, because if you don't, you will spend eternity away from God. Hopefully. Guy sounds like a dick in the Bible. That's what Asherah wanted. Listen, when Yahweh and Asherah divorced each other, the terms of the agreement is eternal separation from Yahweh. She got what she wanted.
As a woman, I can confidently say from the God that's written in that text, good riddance for her. Like good job, girl. You do that.
Lou says they don't know any of their books well. They spend a lot. Have you ever talked to Muslims? Oh yeah, I talk to Muslims every now and then. I'm just basically going to tell them that I don't like pedophiles, and their religion was founded by a pedophile, and it supports pedophilia. And also, the Prophet Muhammad was so silly he didn't understand the difference between Maryam, the mother of Jesus, and Maryam, the sister of Aaron. But it is what it is. W. Dalton. Yeah, W. Dalton for not liking pedophiles. It's a low bar, but I managed to reach it. Please talk about the divorce. Oh, I'm just making jokes. I mean, a long time ago, the ancient Israelites used to believe that Yahweh had a consort named Asherah. She was the goddess of Israel. And after the reform of King Josiah, the Israelites ceased to worship her, and I usually refer to that as Yahweh's divorce.
Are you ever going to send me my book back?
Yes.
Now that I'm thinking of God's phallic regions, I was like, oh God, I had a book like that. And I was like, wait.
Here we go.
Dalton has my book.
We have Sheila Ann. Sheila Ann, I'm going to ask you the same three questions I ask all my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yes.
Question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yes.
And question number 3, what are your pronouns?
She, her.
All right. I'm Dalton the Bible guy, Sheila. I don't believe in the Bible. Why should I?
Let me see if I can help you with that. I feel like there's a lot. There's more than just the King James version.
Right.
I haven't gotten to read other ones really, other than that
Here's
one.
my Bible. I have a New Revised Standard Version, updated edition, but I also have my King James Bible that I bought when I was a wee lad. But why should I believe that the Bible is true, Sheila?
Did you
I have the
recently,
Apocrypha.
like, when did you get your other Bible as you got older?
My new Revised Standard Version, updated edition, got it last year. A friend sent it to me.
Oh, okay. So when I started believing, like, for me, something was pulling me. To me, it was the Spirit pulling me toward the Bible
Yeah,
and reading about the Word. Reading.
specifically, Sheila, I want to know not really why it is that you believe in the Bible, but why do you think that I should believe in the Bible?
Well, that's what I was trying to get to, because whenever I sought, like, I had questions, right? Just like you do. And when I was seeking those questions, for me, it was like the Spirit was drawing me. It wasn't just my being curious.
Sheila, this sounds like
It's always interesting. It's always interesting, Sheila, that it draws you in, but never to Deuteronomy 21 verse 10, never to Deuteronomy 22 at all. Do you know what those verses are about women?
I'm not sure. Go ahead. There's a lot I'm sure I haven't read, especially in the Old Testament.
Well, we'll probably.
They're just about yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. But I was just, if you haven't read it, that's kind of that. Just wait for that.
Yeah. So Sheila, how are you able to determine that it was the Holy Spirit that was drawing you in, as opposed to your own internal self that you were just misattributing as being another force?
When this happened for me, there were several things that happened. It wasn't just all at once. And
Okay, but Sheila,
so
here's
I
the
wanted
thing.
to explain
I've
something.
I've already got a lot of my guests saying no personal experience, because here's the thing, Sheila. I did not experience your personal experience, and therefore your
Right.
personal your personal experience cannot be evidence for me. I need something that I
But
can
why?
look to as
But why
evidence,
not?
because I didn't experience your personal experiences.
But
You're just
I
telling me,
just want to explain
Sheila.
the story. The
Sheila,
story of it. It's
Sheila,
very short.
Sheila, I also have a personal experience that led me away from reading from the Bible, because I
Right.
read the Bible, and I'm not able to determine just from talking to you whether or not the Holy Ghost, was actually impressing upon you, or if you were just having some sort of psychological experience. And
Okay.
there's
Do
no way
you
of me being able to
believe? Can
tell
I
the
ask you a
difference.
short question? Do you
Sure.
believe that you as a person, a human being, have you ever lied? Have you ever did wrong?
Oh yeah, I just like
Do you
Yahweh,
believe
I
that
have
you're in need of
just
something?
no. Well, now I've got not of religion. Just so you know, I'm an ex-Christian.
I'm not
The things that
religious per
no.
se.
Religion simply meaning that one who believes in God and worships God. That's what religion is. Now, I'm not in need of any religious beliefs, because religion doesn't really provide anything for me personally. I'm the kind of person who wants to know what is true. And now, if in regards to your
The
question about,
truth, okay.
in regards to your question of do I lie? Yes, just like Yahweh, I have lied.
Correct. And I feel like when you come to the knowledge that you're in need of something, the story for me, the story for Christ died for your sins, and you accept that,
But he
and you get
didn't
the
die for my
pricking.
sins.
But if he did, say if he did, and the pricking of the heart that you're in need of a savior,
But I'm
that
not.
you
Like Sheila. Oh, if you leave the app, I won't be able to hear you. I listen. I know you really want to preach about
No,
like the salvation of Jesus Christ and
I'm
stuff,
trying
but
to
Sheila, I'm
describe what I
already
went through.
Sheila, I'm already familiar with the gospel. I've read the Bible front to
That's
back.
what I believe is the gospel of Jesus.
Yeah.
He died.
Why should
He
I believe
rose again.
again,
He's next to the Father.
I'm familiar with the content of the Bible. You don't need to reiterate it to me. I'm familiar with the story of Jesus. The thing is, Sheila, I just don't believe it's true. And I'm asking you, what is the evidence that you can provide to me so that I can believe that the gospel is true? And your personal testimony isn't going to provide me evidence. You can unmute yourself now.
Sheila, if you provide personal testimony and we take that, then now we're going to have to believe Muslims as well, Jewish people,
No,
Hindu people, because they all have personal testimony. And I'm not going to sit there
one
and call
God.
them a liar and believe you,
To
Sheila.
one God. There's testimony to one God and one Christ.
Yeah, but
I
there's
don't
also
agree with
Sheila.
how
They
they
believe in
feel.
entirely different
I don't
things.
Yeah,
agree
Sheila,
with how they believe.
there are people who have testimonies and it leads them to Islam. So if I believe in your testimony, therefore I should become Christian, then I should also become a Muslim because Muslims have
I'm not saying
testimonies.
I'm a Christian.
You are a Christian.
I'm saying I'm a believer.
And who?
I'm
You're a
born
believer in who?
again. When I came, when I
Sheila,
came to the knowledge that I needed a
Sheila,
savior.
when I'm talking,
No,
no one can hear you. You need to stop over talking me. I'm trying to have a
sorry.
conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that Jesus of Nazareth was the Christ and the Son of God, correct? Yes or no?
That is correct.
That means you're a Christian. That's what that word means.
I'm also like I was trying to describe what happened with me, the reason
I know, but
I
I
believe
can't
this, but
verify.
you don't
I
you
can't.
don't
I
want to
can't.
hear that part,
I don't want
so
to hear about it. I don't want to hear about
give
it.
you that. Only
Yeah, you
you
can't.
can experience
Okay, but I
it for
haven't.
yourself.
Sheila, I need you to listen to what I'm saying. I am an ex-Christian. I grew up Christian. I used to thoroughly believe in it. I almost became a priest and dedicated my life to living in poverty and chastity in order to become a preacher of the gospel. I'm quite aware of like the feelings that you're talking about. I had them. I don't believe anymore because
That's
there's
your
no good
spirit.
and
That's the
I don't have a
spirit.
spirit. I don't have a spirit and there's no such thing as spirits.
You believed and you felt that in your heart.
Yeah, because I believed it because I was indoctrinated to believe it. But here's the thing.
But I wasn't
What
indoctrinated.
changed my mind was reading the Bible. When I read the Bible front to cover in the original languages and its original context, it became very clear that the Bible wasn't true.
So it became clear to you that it wasn't true.
Because I've read the Bible.
Evidently, I can't convince you. I mean, it says, why should you believe? I can't convince you with what I went through because you don't want to hear that.
No, because I can't.
Yeah, you
So
have
I
to
can't.
use a
I can't
compelling
convince
argument,
you.
Sheila.
Sheila, if someone came up to you with a personal testimony about how Allah changed their life through the words of the Prophet Muhammad, would that be convincing of you that Islam was true?
Well, I would have to listen to their whole story.
So everyone's got a testimony, Sheila.
Yeah.
Muslims have testimonies. Jewish people have, and guess what? Their testimonies aren't different than yours. Mormons
Okay.
sound
Do you
just
believe
like you
Do you
when they
believe there
talk
could
about
be
their
only
personal.
one God?
I don't believe there are any gods.
Okay.
And also, the Bible doesn't teach that there's only one God. The Bible teaches there are many gods.
The King James version or the new version that you have?
The original Bible teaches.
The original?
The original Bible teaches that there are more than one God.
The original as in the King James version Bible.
No, the King James Version
No,
Bible is
as in
not the
the
original Bible. That Bible is only a couple hundred years old, Sheila, and there have been Bibles
A
that have been
couple
around.
hundred?
Yeah, the King James Version Bible was created in
I believe it been
1611.
more. Then that the Spirit
1611.
drew me to him.
The King James
by
version
the
is not even a
Spirit.
good Bible translation, Sheila.
To me, I feel like you're trying to convince people there's not a God instead of why you should
If the
actually get
if
you
the
to
evidence
believe
leads
in
in
the
that
Bible
direction, if the
instead of
evidence leads in
why
that direction,
I should get you to believe.
well, the thing is, Sheila, and I think this is probably going to be the end of the conversation because
And I say this with
I
love out of my heart.
no, I don't think you have
Yes,
any good
sir.
reason for me to believe in the Bible.
You know
I don't
what?
think I don't think you're quite equipped to have this conversation. I would
I think
suggest
I am quite
that
equipped,
you
but I
do a
want
lot
to tell you
more
just one more
study
thing.
and reading of the Bible before you have one of these conversations with someone like me in the future. That's just me giving you advice that I think you need to listen to for your benefit. All right.
I know how much you love the KJV, Dalton.
Oh God, I fucking hate the KJV. All right, we got here Bleach number 1. Bleach, I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1: are you at least 18?
Yeah, I don't know if my connection is good, but
so
yeah,
far
I'm
so
at least
good. Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
Technically, yes, I'm a Jesusist.
All right, and then question number 3: what are your pronouns?
I use male pronouns. God created me as a man.
No, but what are your pronouns?
I just said I use male pronouns because God created me as a man.
Well, no, you do. You just used a pronoun just then. You said I don't use pronouns. I is a first.
No, he said he said you use male pronouns. There are no male pronouns, Bleach.
Oh yeah, there are no male pronouns. There are pronouns for men. There are pronouns for men, but male and men are not the same thing. You do know that, right?
Oh, what's an adult human male?
An adult human male could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be a non-binary person. I guarantee you don't actually believe that.
Not according to the Bible, no.
Well, no, I don't necessarily care what ancient Bronze Age people believed because they also thought the Earth was flat. So I don't get my science from.
Well, no, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. So I don't get my science from ancient Bronze Age
They actually
peoples.
didn't, though.
So I don't care if they thought that there was only male and female. Which, by the way, at least during the time
That's
of
just
Jesus,
your
it was
opinion
a
that
bit
people that
more
wrote the Bible
complicated
believed
than
the Earth
that.
was flat.
Yeah, the Earth. They did believe the Earth was flat. Are you okay? Do you know what the Hebrew word? Does the Bible say that the Earth is a ball or a circle?
It doesn't describe the
It
Earth
does.
in the sense
Hold
of.
on.
Actually, no, I can't.
And
I
God
can't
said,
let
let there
him
be
get away
a.
from this.
I
I can't let.
Don't
Here,
no.
I can't let him get away from this.
Don't
Bleach.
don't let him.
I need your pronouns.
Again, I use male pronouns. Those would
Listen.
be he, him. Which
Okay,
are
you go by he,
attributed
him,
to human
but those aren't
males,
male pronouns.
which
But
are
you go
men.
by. So you go by. Man is not male. So, anyways, you go by he, him. There you go. Those aren't male pronouns, but they are usually typical males use that. But okay, you use he, him pronouns. Fantastic. I'm glad we got there. That wasted fucking 5 minutes of my whole life. Bleach.
But the Earth is flat according to Genesis 1:6. Just go read it.
Yeah. Bleach. I'm Dalton the Bible guy. I don't believe in the Bible because it says the Earth is flat. Why should I believe in the Bible?
The Bible does not say the Earth is flat, but if you want my reason for why you should believe in the Bible, I would say that atheism is a contradiction, therefore theism must be true.
So, anyways, no, we'll get into the flat Earth thing because we'll get into the flat Earth thing. So, yes or no?
Can I at least finish my reason?
No. Anyway, so the Bible, does it describe the Earth as a ball or as a circle?
So you don't want the evidence that atheism is
does the Bible talk? Because no, I brought this up first. This came first in the conversation. So, do you think that the Bible describes the Earth as a ball or as a circle? I know that Phil bros don't like talking about the Bible, but here we talk about the Bible. So, does the Bible describe the Earth as being a ball or a circle?
The Earth isn't described as being flat. That's my position.
No. The question I asked you, here, I'll ask you the question again. I know it's hard that you want to answer a question I didn't ask you, but I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on this. Does the Bible describe the Earth as a circle or as a ball? I'm going to ask you that. No, it does. I'm going to keep asking you until you answer the question. So
okay, why is it relevant?
We'll get there. Does the Bible describe the earth as a ball or or as a circle? We're not going to move forward until you answer.
Why wouldn't I answer the question if you don't
Does
give me
the
the relevance?
Bible describe the earth as a ball or as a circle?
What is the relevance of this question?
Listen, I don't talk to people who don't answer my questions. So, Bleach, does the
didn't
Bible
answer my
describe
question
the
either.
earth as a? This is my show. Does the Bible describe the earth as a ball or as a circle? You will answer the question.
Again, either or, it doesn't matter.
No. You give me the definitive answer.
Why?
Hold
Why does it
on,
matter?
Dalton.
I'm telling
Just
It matters
How
because
can I
I'm
answer
the
the
host.
question if I don't know
It
the
matters
relevance?
because I'm the host and I'm asking you the question. So, hey, by the way,
Bleach. Do you want to have a conversation, or do you want to have a conversation,
I
or
want
do
to
you
have
want
a
to be
conversation, which
confrontational?
is why I want to know the
So
relevance
answer.
of the
So
question
part
of whether or
parts.
not
I'm
the
more.
earth in the Bible
So
is a
part
Here,
of.
ball or a
See,
circle.
I was in the middle of a fucking sentence, Bleach. That is the problem. Is that when I am talking, you're not. Like, that's how you have a conversation, right? I don't know how old you are. I wasn't paying attention, but you're acting like a kindergartner. When you're speaking, when he asks you a question, answer it. If you want to ask us questions after that, that's fine. We asked you the question first. We're going to stay on the topic. We're not going to let you pivot. You're not
All
in
I did was answer
control.
your question.
So chill out.
no, you haven't answered. You haven't given
Okay.
me an answer.
You have not
You asked me,
answered
do I want to have the
a
conversation?
single
I said
question.
yes, and I want to know.
That's not the.
I also
That's
want
not the
to know
original
the
question,
relevance
Bleach.
of the question.
That's not the original question.
What-
You're acting like an ass in front of 220 people. So if you want to, continue doing it.
So you're going to answer the question.
I can't believe I have to
And-
mommy you right
And
now.
the
I don't
only
wanna make
available
it matter.
the only available answers for this question I'm going to ask you is ball or circle. Those are the available answers, and nothing else I will not ask you anything else except for this, and you will have to answer. So does the Bible describe the earth as a ball or a circle?
Circle.
There you go. Are circles three-dimensional or are they flat?
Three-dimensional circles would be a sphere.
That's not a circle then. So are circles flat or
Yes,
are
it
they
is.
three-dimensional?
Again, a three-dimensional circle would have.
That's
a
called a
spherical nature.
ball, you dumbass. I didn't ask you about balls. I asked you if circles are flat.
You asked me if
Or
circles.
they're no, as circles, are they flat or are they three-dimensional? Are they flat like your brain or are they three-dimensional?
It depends on the amount of dimensions. If it's 2 dimensions, it would be
I'm
flat. If
asking
it's
you. I'm not asking you about
3-dimensional,
breach. I'm not asking you about spheres. I'm asking you about circles. I know kindergarten was hard, but we all learned about circles in school. Are circles flat or are they spherical? Are they round?
if circles are 2-dimensional, they're flat. If they're
There. The answer.
That's not a circle then.
Circles can't be anything but flat. Correct? I'm going to test his ability to understand shapes.
A circle is literally a 2-dimensional shape. It's not a 3-dimensional shape.
We learned shapes in kindergarten. You do know that circles are flat, yes?
Again, it depends on the amount of dimensions.
No.
Again,
if it has,
like
if it has 3 dimensions, then it's not a circle. Are you,
So you just-
dense?
Fully answer. Is this what it's going to be?
No,
Does
it
he
seems,
not-
look, it seems like you don't have an education level.
It's gonna be us correcting
Yeah.
you
It
when you
seems-
say wrong things.
If you don't have an education level past kindergarten, then I don't know how the rest of this conversation's going to go. So, Bleach, I'll ask you one more time to see if you get it yet. Are circles flat or are they spherical? If you answer incorrectly, I'm just going to drop you.
Circles are flat if they are 2-dimensional.
All circles are 2-dimensional. Are there any 3-dimensional circles?
Can you can you show me a
No.
3?
Oh my god.
Then it's a sphere. It's not a circle.
This guy, I have yet to meet anyone as stupid as this guest. What shape are the pyramids?
You said what shape are the pyramids?
Yes.
I'm sure the pyramids are a rectangular prism or something like
So
that.
they're not triangles? You wouldn't describe them as triangles?
Pyramids are three-dimensional triangles.
Fuck off. You dishonest child. Just so everyone knows, if you see bleach anywhere on anyone else's live, I want you to point out to the host that he's too dumb to know the difference between a circle and a sphere. All right.
There might have been some consumption of bleach.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk to
By bleach.
Balanced Limbo.
Also, thank you everyone for the gifts. Make sure you're tapping, sharing, reposting. Dalton has his Cash App on his link tree, and he is trying to get. I can't speak today. Deconstruction Justin is going to send him a PC, so he's going to start dual streaming. It'll be a lot more professional setup, and that money is going towards a keyboard, a monitor, and a mouse. So if you would like to, please make sure you're supporting the host. If you can't, no problem. We just appreciate you being here. Sorry about that. Mod break.
Absolutely. Anyways, we're gonna I tried to bring up Balanced Limbo. All right, let's see. Balanced Limbo. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask all my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1, are you at least 18?
Yes, sir.
All right, question number 2, are you a Bible believer?
Yes, recently, and I've been away from it for 15 years, so I'm born again, as you would say. Yes.
All right, and question number 3, what are your pronouns?
He, her, him. I don't know.
All right, he, him. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Balanced, why should I believe in the Bible? And just so you know, we don't accept personal testimony here.
Oh God, that's a hard question to answer. I feel like it's more of a personal relationship with something you believe, or like with the Lord. That is hard to explain. I feel like it's more of like a personal relationship. It's what you've.
It sounds like more of a parasocial relationship. I think you have a parasocial relationship with the corpse. So why should I think that the content of the Bible comports to reality?
Well, like I said, it's more of a. I don't know. I guess it's like a personal belief. I mean,
but do you think that the Bible talks about things that actually happened? Yes.
Yes.
What's the evidence that those things actually happened?
I guess the historical proving of it throughout like the world and different countries. I mean, that is hard to explain.
It seems like your whole reason for being a Christian is a vibes-based thing. It's like feelings.
No, it's more so that I've been away from Christ for 15 years, and it's felt like.
I hope I get to that point.
Yeah, I do too. I mean
I just hope I can stay away from him for another 15 years.
Well, that's your belief. That's okay. But ever since, it is the one thing that, I went against him back in high school, and 15 years later, it seems like everything has fallen into place.
I was a hardcore Christian for a long time, Balance, but then you know what happened? I read the Bible, and it was the Bible that convinced me that Christianity wasn't true. Because the Bible is full of scientific and historical errors, contradictions, and Jesus doesn't fulfill a single prophecy from the Old Testament.
But Jesus only talks in 4 books out of the whole Bible, and barely
Yeah, and sometimes when he talks, he misquotes the Hebrew, he misquotes the Old Testament a lot.
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, he was also a man at the same time. But it's God that spoke through him. He was only he was also a human at the same time. You have to remember this.
If God misspoke through Jesus, then why didn't God tell Jesus don't say that because you're misquoting the Bible?
Because God wants you to have faith and believe, and he's not
Ooh.
going to, even though you believe in him, he's not going to tell you what to
Faith
say.
faith is not a good. So here's the thing, Balanced. I want to believe as many true things as possible, and
Yeah.
I want to disbelieve as many false things as possible. Faith is not a good way at getting to the truth, because here's the thing: you have faith and it leads you to Jesus. Muslims have faith and it leads them to Allah and Muhammad, and Jews have faith and it leads them to the
Muhammad
rabbis.
but the books that Muhammad apparently said, they came 30 years after, like the books came in like segments.
You know
segments.
the
But
Gospels
through
were
the
written
Bible,
you know that the Gospel of Mark, the first Gospel written, was written 40 years after Jesus was already dead.
yeah, but it was throughout like the entire, like, well, I wouldn't say the entire world, but in different regions, everybody came up with the same
Oh,
speaking
they
points.
didn't.
They came up with the same.
They didn't,
No.
though. Balance. They believed in different things. Different. I know. So what you're proposing is a concept called biblical univocality. The idea is that the Bible speaks with one consistent voice across all books, but the thing is, it doesn't. The biblical authors sometimes disagree with each other on certain things. For example, one second. We got Lawson. Lawson sent us $15 on PayPal for in Doug's name. Lawson, you're the MVP. Thank you so much. Now,
let's get some W Lawsons in the chat.
So, Balance. The books of the Bible don't actually agree with each other on much in the way of theology.
But Old Testament, New Testament, are you talking about like
Even
Dead
in the
Sea
New
Scrolls?
Testament,
Are you talking
even
about
in the New Testament, the authors don't agree with each other. For example, did Jesus come to abolish the law?
He didn't believe in politics.
No, not politics. The law of Moses.
See, okay, I don't feel like I'm able to speak on that. Like I
Here.
said, I'm a born again.
How about this?
I'm just getting through.
What do you have to do works in order to enter into eternal life, or is it just by faith alone?
It's not faith alone, no.
Well, Paul thought that. So you're right that James taught. James,
But Paul
the
was
brother
also
of the Lord.
one that betrayed God. Or
Paul's
Jesus,
not the.
sorry.
That's Judas.
Well, I thought Paul was the one that the crow cocked 2 times, and then
That's
he
Peter.
denied him. Or Peter, sorry. That's what I'm saying. I don't know too much. I just wanted to come on here and.
So
I
here,
want to learn more.
Yeah, since you're wanting to learn more, let me just tell you this: the Bible rarely ever agrees with itself on many different things. Some authors, for example, believe that God can't change. Malachi 3:6, I, the Lord, do not change, lest you sons of Jacob be consumed. And specifically, the author of Numbers 23:19 says that God is not a man that he should change his mind. Yet, we have other authors from other books, like the book of Exodus, tells us in Exodus chapter 32, verse 14, that Yahweh, God, does change his mind. So the author of this section of Exodus and the author of that section of Numbers don't actually agree with each other on whether or not God can change his mind. Or, for example, are you familiar with the Levitical priesthood?
I am not. I'm sorry.
So it's fine. In the Old Testament, you had Moses, and Moses had a brother named Aaron. And all Aaron and his
was the one
family.
that spoke for him, right?
Yes, and God appointed Aaron and his family to be the priesthood for Israel. Aaron was the high priest.
To take them out of Egypt.
Yeah, Aaron was made the high priest of God's temple, and all of his sons were the priests. And God said that only from that family could the priesthood come. Now, the New Testament teaches that the Levitical priesthood is done away with and replaced by the priesthood of Jesus. But Jeremiah tells us that the priesthood of Levi, of Aaron, would be forever. So you see, but the Bible doesn't actually speak consistently on almost any point.
So the contradictory of, I mean, different books in the Bible, is that saying that he is changing, like he is not unchanging, like it says in the Bible, or
Some
is
books
that?
of so
But also is that the man? Well, I don't want to say the man has changed the word of God, but
well, we
that
do know for a fact that the Bible has been changed quite a bit,
yes, I
balanced.
mean through Latin, through Greek into English. I mean, even rapture is not in the Bible,
Yeah,
which
but
it's
even like
yeah,
even when
but
it
it's all
comes to
like
when it comes to just like the Greek manuscripts of the Bible, we find changes. For example, are you familiar with the story of Jesus, and how he wouldn't stone the adulterous woman?
yeah.
Do you know that in the old, the first time that story ever shows up in the Gospel of Matthew is after the 5th century AD, and that before that, no copy of the Gospel of John in the original Greek has that story. Someone added it.
So I know you're not religious. I mean, I really don't know if you are or not, but
I'm not.
for the premise of what your uh thing says, but what would you say would be the best for a Christian? What would you say the best book is to follow for a Christian? I have an ESV. I don't like King James. King James was a tyrant.
Ecclesiastes.
Or the Ethiopian Bible, maybe.
Which are you saying? Which version of the Bible that you should
Yeah,
read?
what version?
Okay,
I just bought the ESV, which is, I mean,
my my
it's what
my
Charlie read.
suggestion to you, the ESV is good, but my suggestion to you, if you want a better Bible translation, is the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. And the reason for that is because when you have a Bible translation like the ESV, it's made by one single group of Christians from one single denomination. And when that happens, the translation can fall prey to denominational bias. Like they're going to translate the Bible according to what their particular dogmas and doctrines tell them they should translate it as. When it comes to a book like the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition, this is what's called an ecumenical translation, meaning...
So ecumenical?
Yes, meaning that many different denominations, from Christians from all different groups, and even Jewish people, even non-Christian Jews, came on board to work on this translation to try to produce as best as they could a reliable translation of the Bible. It's not perfect, but it's the best out of all Christian translations.
Okay. See, I grew up Lutheran. I went to a Baptist school, and then I went to a Catholic high school, and I got into a few things in high school, and I realized all this is fake. I've seen all sorts of religions or like different sects of the Christianity religion.
Here's the thing.
It pushed me away, but it took me to, I'm 30, and it took me for my life to fucking fall apart.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Balanced. I don't think you have enough knowledge on the Bible to debate the Bible. So here's what I suggest you do. If you want to actually learn more about the Bible from a really good scholar who's going to bring you as much data and as little dogma as possible, he's going to tell you just the straight up facts about the Bible, I would suggest checking out a scholar by the name of Dan McClellan.
Hold on. Dan McClellan?
Yeah. Dan, D-A-N, McClellan, M-C, C-L-E-L-L-A-N, McClellan. Dan McClellan. He's on TikTok.
Have you ever heard of the Hillsdale? I mean, it's what Charlie spoke about. It's called Hillsdale College. Have you ever heard of that?
Charlie who?
Kirk.
I'm not.
I know. Yeah, regardless of his name, but have you ever heard of Hillsdale College? They talk about the gospel.
Yeah, if it's a religious institution, or I probably wouldn't trust it. Here's the thing, I don't trust religious people to tell me about the Bible because
I want to find the most non-biased
Dan
academy
McClellan.
or a curriculum that I can find, because I don't want to be. I mean, I will never be persuade anymore, but I don't want to have that.
Well,
persuasion
don't shut yourself off from being able to be persuaded, because if you do not grow, the plants that don't grow are the ones that die. Remember that. Always be willing to grow. So check out Dan McClellan's work on TikTok and check out his podcast on YouTube called Data Over Dogma. And I'm going to leave you with that.
What?
Data Over Dogma.
Over dogma. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to leave you with that. And you need to go and learn your Bible. Everyone, regardless of whether or not you're Christian or atheist, go and learn the Bible. And then once you feel like you're confident enough that you've learned quite a bit about it, then you can come back and we can have a debate about it. Okay?
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. You have a good day.
You too.
See, guys, I'm not mean to everybody.
Well, he was nice enough.
All right.
You're mean to me all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Shush.
See, guys? See?
Now we're going to bring up the SNS show. The SNS show. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions. Are they coming up? I hit the accept button. Don't know where they went.
They said nah, bruh.
Nah, bruh.
Oh, they're still in mine, I think. Oh, no, they're not in mine anymore.
Yeah. I don't know where
They
they
said
went.
nah, bruh.
It's that Morally Grace. Said, hey, don't talk to Ash like
says,
that.
Hey, don't.
I repent.
Thank you, Morally Grace.
All right.
Thank you, Seven.
Someone said Dan McClellan is blocking over Dan McClellan spells his name wrong. Is blocking over conversation. I don't know what that phrase means. Let's see. You just match energy. That is correct, Lou. I do just match energy. Study to show yourself approved. Yeah. Bidets rock, but then you fall off. Yeah, bidets are the best. And if you're still wiping your ass like a caveman, shame on you. Get a bidet.
You don't have a bidet.
I'm working on it. Shh.
You forget I've used the bathroom at your house.
It's been a year. You don't know.
Thank you,
Actually,
radio.
I did buy one, but then it was like some cheap ass one from TikTok, and we just got rid of it because hey, thank you for the cap because it was.
Thank you, F this.
God's blessed. Dan is still Mormon, unfortunately. Hey, I'm not going to hold that against him because when it comes to the scholarship, Dan presents the scholarship unbiasedly. How do I know this? Because he often says things that directly go against Mormon doctrine. So as long as Dan remains like faithful to the data over dogma mantra, then he's got my support. I don't think he really believes.
Thank you for the gifts.
Thank you for the necklace.
The necklace is really cool. Yeah.
Let's see. I can't help it. Quoting their book at them is fun. This is true. Let's see. Man, where's the bidet salesman? I'm surprised he hasn't been excommunicated. Who? Oh, Dan? I don't think they care. I think it's because Dan does work for the Mormon Church. He's on their translation team for their texts, and I think he teaches classes in his local congregation. So there's that. We're gonna bring up a friend for a moment to hang out. What's up, Cyber?
Hey, Cyber.
So Dan doesn't work for the church anymore. But my issue with him is he did have a post that he since deleted because he was asked, so you believe in this data over dogma, and how can you still be a Mormon? And he said, well, the nice thing is, as a Mormon, we believe in personal revelation, and the church has received revelation. And if you ever read like one of their books called The Pearl of Great Price, it's like the books of Moses and Abraham. That's a retelling of some things. He's like, but because of this, I can call out what are issues with the Bible, but I still hold to the Bible because of personal revelation that he's received.
Yeah, and you know what, if he's gonna, as long as Dan doesn't, because I know Dan for a fact doesn't hold to the idea that there's anything wrong with being a member of the LGBT community, and he thinks that women should. He's very forward about the fact that there's a lot of problems with the Bible, and I don't think he holds to those things, and I think he's an ally. So you know, as long as he can hold to his personal beliefs about whatever it is he believes about God, I don't really care about that. I mean, if he ever came on here, I'd debate him about it because that's what this channel is about. Although I don't know how that conversation would go, but I think that Dan is at least like reliable when it comes to giving us like the info on the Bible.
Oh, correct. Yeah. Because he'll hold to like, but the things that he holds are like how people, because this is something that he mentions. Like if you pay attention, he talks about how people are interpreting passages. He doesn't actually condemn the text in the Bible. He just talks about the dogma of how people are translating it and applying it to their church use. And
Yeah,
so,
I think that's just because he doesn't work in the same realm on TikTok as we. Like, we're debaters. We talk about why you shouldn't believe the Bible. Dan's
correct.
just a critical scholar, and he talks about what the Bible does and doesn't say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when it's like the date over dogma, just my personal belief, I think I don't want to call him slimy. I think that's a strong word, but yeah, he's just taking a look at how people are interpreting the text. Which again, you and I both know, like, there's nothing in the Bible that's like anti-LGBTQIA plus. It's more social roles that it's speaking out against. So yeah, but yeah, that's just something that he'd mentioned though in his post that's since been taken down because people have been highly critical of how can you hold this date over dogma but still be Christian, let alone a Mormon.
Yeah, I that will forever be a mystery to me, and I'll hope that one day maybe Dan does a little bit more revelation for us on what he believes and why exactly. I would love to watch that video. But until then, I'm going to tell everyone, get yourself a copy of Dan's latest book. The Bible Says So. If you really want to deconstruct some of the harmful rhetoric of the Bible, it's a good place to start. It's a good intro to the topic.
Yep. And he also blocked Jaron.
That makes sense, but that's I'm not gonna step into that pile right now.
Yeah, but, no. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I'm not going to get into that on your podcast though. But yeah, thanks for bringing me up. I gotta get back to work.
Absolutely. Have a good day, Cyber.
Amazon packages don't deliver
Bye,
themselves.
Cyber.
Absolutely, and congratulations to Cyber on his recent wedding. Love that for him. Guerrero de Deus says they don't believe in Jesus, but they believe in the man on the moon because they saw it on TV. No, Guerrero, we believe in the man on the moon because we actual evidence for it. You know, you can actually point lasers at the moon and bounce them off mirrors that actually are on the moon. So unlike your position, Guerrero, where you believe that a dead magic rabbi came back to life because the invisible guy in the sky made it happen, we believe in facts over myth and magic. So nice try, but you're more than welcome to come up and tell me why I should believe that the Bible is true, but I ain't going to support any of that conspiracy theory bullshit on my live. Let's see. Why would you? NASA erased moon tracking telemetry. No, they didn't. Listen, you're full of shit. And if you do come up, Sheila. Okay, Sheila, I'll let you come up, Sheila. But here's the rule: no personal testimony, and you got to give me a good reason to believe that the Bible is true outside of your personal testimony. Facts only. All right, Sheila. What do you got for us?
You cut out when you said I got to give you a good reasons. Then it cut off.
Yeah, facts. Just facts.
In the beginning, do you believe the story, how it goes about how by one man God put a curse on mankind to die?
No, I don't think Adam and Eve ever existed, and I don't think that Genesis is a true story.
Okay.
It's quite impossible.
I was trying to come up with things that I am knowledgeable about with the Bible.
The problem with Adam and Eve is that there's just not enough genetic information into human beings to populate the entirety of the planet.
Okay. Can I ask you another question? Do you believe with that say you don't believe that, but do you see where people die? Like, that's actual truth that we live and we die now. I mean,
Yeah, that's always been the case. There's never been a time in history where humans didn't die.
but originally, I believe that we were meant to live forever. That God was going to have
But
us live
so
forever, but
so
we were
that
punished.
that's a that's just what the
Sorry,
myth
go
of
ahead.
Genesis that's just what the myth of Genesis
Okay.
says. But I don't believe that Genesis is true. We have no evidence that Genesis is true.
I'm just trying to make you see that the reason that I believe that is true, because to me it makes sense. The story, to me, it makes sense
You think
because
it
by
makes
one
sense that
man.
you think it makes sense that
Wait,
Yahweh
wait.
created a man out of dust, breathed into his nostrils, planted two magical trees in the garden, told them not to eat it. Then a talking snake walks up to them,
The
and
snake,
tempts them into
they
biting
were
from the fruit, which
tempted by.
magically gives them the ability to know good and evil, and that God kicked him out of this garden that we have no evidence that existed. You think that makes sense?
I'm saying that if he punished us to die because of sin, because sin entered through one man because of
Well,
disobedience.
sin is God's
But God
fault.
lied.
And
Okay,
Sheila,
how
God
did he
lied.
lie?
God lied in the Genesis account.
yeah. So in Genesis
How did he
Yeah.
lie?
in Genesis chapter 2 verse 17, God said to Adam and Eve, quote, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day you eat it, you shall die. But the thing is, when Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the knowledge of good and evil, they didn't die.
Eventually they did.
But God said, in the
You
day
shall
you eat it, you will
surely die.
die.
Maybe he meant of not. Maybe those words aren't exactly worded the way they're supposed to be,
Well, I
because
can
think
I could read
about.
the original. I could read the original Hebrew of what it actually says. It says, "U me'etz," and from the tree hada'at tov v'ra, of the knowledge of good and evil. Lo tokal mimanu, you shall not eat from it. Ki bayom oklecha, for in the day you eat mimanu from it, mot tamot, dying you will die. So he tells us that they will die, and he tells us that they will die in the day they eat it.
I feel like
It also
the
wouldn't make
day
sense.
that
It wouldn't
they
make
ate it
sense. Hold
caused
on,
them
hold
to
on,
Wait,
die
Sheila,
Sheila.
wait.
slowly.
Sheila, hold on. It also Genesis 3:22 wouldn't make sense then, because Genesis 3:22, after all this goes down, the Lord God said, "See, the humans have become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Now they might reach out their hands and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." That's like quotations from God.
Yeah,
God is literally saying
I believe that
later
that's
on
what he
that
meant for them to do, is live forever.
So that tells me, Sheila, that
Yes.
if God intended for man to live forever, but then something happened and it resulted in it didn't happening, that means that God isn't all knowing. He thought his
He may be
intention.
all knowing, but maybe he did take
Oh,
back what
he's
he
definitely
originally
he's de-
planned because
he's
of
definitely
their
not all knowing,
disobedience.
Sheila, because when Adam and Eve hide away from God in the garden, they hide behind some bushes, and
It's
God
because
shows
he
up
can't
and
see sin.
he says to them,
He's
where,
holy.
well, Sheila, listen. When Adam and Eve are hiding from God in the garden,
Hmm.
God is walking in the garden and he says to Adam and Eve, "Where are you?" Because he doesn't know where they are, and he's also not everywhere at once in the book of
He
Genesis.
can't look upon sin.
That's not true, though.
He's holy.
That's not true, Sheila. God looks
That's
upon
why
sin
he
all the.
couldn't see them.
Are there
He
here,
didn't know them anymore.
Sheila? God
Yes.
can look upon sin. In the book of Job, Satan comes up to God in heaven and speaks to him, and God responds to him. God is able to look at sin. The book of Revelation tells us, if you believe Jesus is God, it says that those who burn in the lake of fire, that the holy angels and the Lamb look upon them forever, that they will burn in their presence. So, God is able to look at sin. If he can't, then he's not all powerful, because he's not able to do something.
I'm just saying, I feel like he didn't recognize them
Then he's
because
not all knowing.
they became they disobeyed basically.
Well, no, if God doesn't recognize them anymore, like sinning somehow makes it to where God gets that condition where he can't recognize people's faces, then God's not all knowing because he doesn't know that it's still Adam and Eve.
Okay, and it also says that Moses, when he went to talk to God, he couldn't look upon God because
Can
it
we?
would kill him
And
because of his
yet,
glory.
and yet we have a story earlier in the Torah where it says that all of Israel saw God on Mount Sinai.
Hmm.
But Sheila, I'm going to give you
God's able, I feel like, to make that happen. You know, I just feel like I was trying to, you know, just show a little bit of my knowledge that I have
yeah, Sheila.
to help you. Why you
they don't
answer
call me the Bible
question.
guy for they don't call me the Bible guy for nothing. But here's the thing, Sheila. I'm going to give you the same advice I gave to the last guest. I think that you need to go and do a little bit more studying on the Bible
I'm
before.
trying to more and more all the time, sir.
All right, go and do a little more studying, and when you can come up with a good reason, just don't because just quoting me the Bible won't convince me. You need to show me that what's written in the Bible is
Well, I
actually true.
couldn't.
But I have a guest who's
I couldn't
waiting.
tell you by my personal testimony.
Yeah, no, you don't need to.
Because
You just
that's
need
my
to.
personal
You just need to be
testimony.
able to give me facts, independent of you and independent of the Bible that verify the Bible. But here's the thing: I got another guest waiting, and I'm going to
Yes,
move on
sir.
to talk to them. So you have a good day, Sheila.
You too.
Poor Sheila. All right, we have here new Nito.
You've never met my mom, but she
same.
reminds me of my mom.
Oh, mine too. I mean, in a way. Where'd they go? They disappeared. I guess we'll go to D4 instead. All right, D4. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every guest, irrespective of who they are, before we can move forward with the conversation. Question number 1: are you at least 18?
Yes.
Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
Not really, I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, we're only interested in talking to people who
No,
actually
no,
believe
but
in the
here's the reason
Bible.
why I still requested. I've been here for a minute. I just have one important question though. That's related to this. Yeah, like what's your viewpoints on the Trinity?
It's none in the Bible.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I also been deconstructed quite a while ago, but like even then when I was doing my own research about like how
Here,
the
D4.
theology of the Bible is.
As much as I would love to talk about why the Trinity is bullshit, I'm only here to talk to people who actually believe in the Bible. But W for you for
I want to learn
deconstructing and not
though.
believing in it. So you have a good
No,
day.
because like I still think the Trinity is biblical. That's the thing.
Oh, it's not though. But again, you're not a Bible believer, and that's my audience. So you have a good day. It's crazy that someone would still believe that the Trinity is biblical, even though they deconstruct it and don't believe in the Bible. Yes, I know. Yes, I know, Colette. This is very typical of men. No sense of boundaries. But it's even worse with Christian men. Because Christians have that problem, men have that problem, and when it coalesces into a Christian man, it's the worst.
No, those Christian men are so great, Dalton. It's not like they believe that grape is okay in some circumstances.
Oh God, Christian's back because he loves getting his spanking from the Bible guy every single day. But we're going to talk to Be Courageous, and we'll see if Christian's up asking up later, because Christian loves getting his daily spankings from the Bible guy. Anyways, Be Courageous. I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions I ask every single one of my guests, irrespective of who they are. Question number 1: are you at least 18?
Yes, I'm over 18.
All right. Question number 2: are you a Bible believer?
Yes, I'm a Bible believer too.
And then question number 3: what are your pronouns?
Yeah, he.
All right. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. I don't believe in the Bible. Courageous. Why should I be? believe in the Bible?
One of the books that I really appreciate, for example, is a Proverbs, and a few people would deny, because Proverbs in themselves are age-old and timeless truths.
Sometimes Proverbs has good proverbs for us. Other times it gives us bad advice, like trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. That is
Right.
that's a proverb that's intended to get you to stop thinking for yourself and just believe really in the patriarchy behind the priesthood. So I don't
I
think
can
that's good
understand
advice.
that. But what about those that, I mean, you pick the ones that will support a particular belief, but what about those? Are you saying that having looked at the Proverbs, none of them are there that you would consider good advice, that are timeless truths, apart from that one?
I would have to go through the book of Proverbs once more and nitpickingly pick out the ones which are good, the ones are bad. But here's the thing. When I talk about why should I believe in the Bible, I don't mean are there possibly a few tiny little nuggets of gold in this giant pile of dirt. What I mean is, should I believe that the content of the Bible actually comports to reality? Should I believe that Jesus is the Messiah? Should I believe that Yahweh created the world? Should I believe that Exodus took place, etc., etc.?
Oh, those are the major. So you do agree that they're little nuggets, but the most of it is dirt. So there are some aspects of it that are one of the things I look at. For example, the whole matter of archaeology, which I know, especially as a thinker, you really support archaeology and the findings thereof. I don't know if you have ever met upon the Nabonidus Chronicle. Have you met upon that?
Yeah, the Nabonidus cylinder actually tells us that the book of Daniel is false, because the book of Daniel makes the claim that Belshazzar was the final king of Babylon, which he wasn't. He was only vice regent, and his father Nabonidus was actually the final king of Babylon, even though it says in Daniel that Nebuchadnezzar was Belshazzar's father. So the Nabonidus cylinder, which you've brought forward to us, is a piece of archaeology that tells us that the book of Daniel isn't reliable.
But interestingly, it's I think it's the only. Would you agree it's the only extra biblical source that makes reference to this Belteshazzar?
Belteshazzar, or are we calling it Balthazar? Belshazzar, I'm pretty sure is mentioned in other texts, like the list of kings A and B, or the Babylonian Chronicles.
Okay, the text I was reading the other day about Josephus.
Yeah.
And there were two references that Josephus made to this man called Christus. The first reference, many persons say maybe it's doubtful, but I read where a professor says that few individuals doubt that the second reference of Josephus to this person Christus is dubious.
So when it comes to the
Are you talking about book 20 of... Are you talking about book 20 in Antiquity of the Jews?
And also book 18.
And Flavius Josephus.
Right, there was one that...
No, I think he's talking about the second reference. That's where it says James, the brother of Jesus.
Yes, and it says few persons, professors, deny that the second reference is false. There is a doubt with the first reference.
I agree that Jesus of Nazareth existed as a historical person, but but he wasn't the Messiah. He didn't fulfill any messianic prophecies.
Understand. So is that the Bible has some, you're saying has elements of truth, but not full truth?
Yeah, for example, Jesus didn't fulfill any messianic prophecies.
None at all.
So yes, Belshazzar is in Babylonian tablets. Dalton.
Is it Belshazzar or Belteshazzar? There's a name, I don't know why I had Belteshazzar. isn't there one called Belteshazzar?
That's Daniel's Babylonian name, and he's not mentioned in the Nabonidus cylinder.
Okay, so it's Belshazzar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Jesus didn't fulfill not a single messianic prophecy from the Hebrew Bible.
So in terms of where he was to be born,
the Hebrew Bible doesn't tell us where the Messiah is supposed to be born.
yes, it speaks, doesn't it? Speaks about Bethlehem, and
Yes,
it makes a
but
specific mention to
but
Ephrathah.
but the text you're referencing, Micah chapter 5 verse 2, doesn't state that the ruler would be born in Bethlehem. It just says that their going forth is from Bethlehem. It tells specifically that their going forth is from ancient days, from days of old. All this is telling us is that the ruler's origins, which are ancient, are found in Bethlehem, being that the ruler is a descendant of King David, who was from Bethlehem. But this can't be about Jesus, one, because we don't have any really good reason to think Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Secondly, we don't have any good reason to think Jesus was actually a descendant of King David. And also, the person in Micah 5:2 is a ruler in Israel, and Jesus was never a ruler in Israel.
Okay. What do you think about the claim of the Bible in talking about the shape of the earth,
Yeah,
and also the suspension of the earth on nothing?
Yeah, the Bible makes the claim that the earth is a circle, and it's not. It's a sphere.
Wait. What shape is the Earth?
He thinks it's round. He thinks it's spherical, but he thinks that the Bible says that it's spherical, which it doesn't. Be courageous. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I think you'll probably be able to answer this question better than a guest we had earlier today. Do you know the difference between a ball and a circle?
Yes, definitely. Because the ball, from you hold the ball in the hand, you can see that spherical. I can draw a circle on like a piece of paper. That's not spherical.
You're one of my favorite people today, Courageous, for just being able to answer that. So here's the thing. When we go back and we read Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, what it actually tells us about the shape of the earth, I'll pull it up real quick so I can read the Hebrew to you. It says in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, Ha-yoshev al-chug ha'aretz, which means he sits upon not the sphere, but the circle of the earth. And the Hebrew word for chug here means circle. And the Hebrews did have a word for ball because the book of Isaiah uses the word for ball in it. It says in Isaiah chapter 22, verse 18, I will whirl you round about and throw you like a ball into a wide land. And there the word for ball is the Hebrew word dur, spelled dalet vav resh. So the Hebrews knew the difference between a ball and a circle, but the author of 2nd Isaiah chose to use the word circle to describe the earth.
So, I mean, that's a very, very good point you have made. Is there something to say that some spheres,
Are you covering your mic by any chance?
Oh, you're not hearing me so clearly?
There you go. That's better. That's better.
Better. Yes. Which is a subset of which? Is there one that is a subset of the other? Like
no, like in Hebrew. No, you would never. You would never say in Hebrew that I'm going to throw you the circle. You would always say I'm going to throw you the ball, and you would never say that a ball is a circle in Hebrew. We would have distinct words for this. Now, when we read, if we want more, say what, Ash?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
I apologize.
When we read further into what the Hebrew Bible says about the shape of the earth, the Bible describes the earth as being shaped like a seal. Are you familiar with what a seal is?
When you say a seal.
Like, for example, in medieval times, someone would have like a letter, and they would wrap it up, and then they
Okay,
would take
yes,
and they would
and you put the seal. Definitely.
you put the seal
Okay.
on it. Now, back
Yeah,
in the
that,
medieval times, that was done with wax, but in ancient Israel they did it with clay. But the principle was the same. They would take clay and they would take a ring and they would press it down to create the seal,
yeah.
which would create this flat clay disc, but would have ridges around it. The
Okay.
Book of Job describes that the earth is like a clay seal,
Okay. Oh.
as in Job 38 verse 14. For anyone who's wanting to look it up,
That's the same text I was referring to, or another one?
this is another
The one.
text.
It's another text. Okay. And the earth. I mean, and not that's normally twinned with the one at The thanks for that.
He
About
hangs the earth upon nothing.
Yes. How do you explain away that one?
Yeah, the earth doesn't hang at all. It doesn't hang on nothing. The earth is actually falling right now. It's going through a free fall around the sun. So the earth and the sun are both falling, and because the sun has gravity, the earth is circling around the earth. But it's all falling. It's just falling inwards on the sun. But because of its orbit, it doesn't crash into the sun. It just continues to roll around the sun in a free fall.
But understand. But wouldn't you give a little credit there for an ancient text to be able to at least make a statement at a time when the moguls of thought, like the Greek thinkers, would believe that there is in their mythology that there was an Atlas and a turtle.
Sure. The only difference is that the Israelites just believed that the flat earth hung upon nothing. They didn't think it was sitting in the ancient Israelites didn't even believe in outer space. They thought that the sky was the totality of the heavens, and above the sky was a dome that separated them from Yahweh and from the outer waters. That is the cosmology that we read about, at least in the Hebrew Bible. By the time you get to the New Testament, they believe in a spherical earth, but not because of divine revelation, but because the Greeks had already discovered the spherical earth, and in Greek thought, a geocentric spherical earth surrounded by concentric spheres was the norm, and the Jewish people adopted that model.
Yes. I mean, one of the things which is probably a little maybe different as you say, maybe I'm relying on the smaller nuggets that you mentioned, but I've found that living by certain principles make my life, I believe.
But there are definitely principles in the Bible that you would not want to live by, for a fact, Courage. So, Courage, what are your thoughts on slavery?
On slavery?
Yeah.
Well, certainly, I don't support slavery. I know where you're going without you saying.
Yeah,
Because,
the Bible does
there are
support
many
it, doesn't it?
instances. Yes, there are many, both in the Old and this. I can't even say that was something of the Old Testament, but it
Okay.
also is the.
So you agree with me that the Bible doesn't give us good information on slavery. What do you think about whether or not women should be considered property?
Women as property?
Yeah. Like, for example, would it be right for me if I was describing the objects in my possession, my household, my possessions, my property, and I started naming
would be
off like
similar to-
slaves and livestock
be
in a
similar.
house, would it be right to list my wife with those other property items?
No, I think that would be similar to the whole concept of slavery that doesn't bode well for.
And yet, when we read the 10 Commandments, the 10th commandment is the commandment that says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, or his house, or his male or female slaves, or his donkey, or his ox." It tells us a list of things that you're not allowed to covet from your neighbor. All of them are the category of property, which is owned. And amongst the list of those things which are property is mentioned your neighbor's wife.
Yes, I see what you're saying. I've never looked at that point before. That's a don't covet the
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
It's very common for Christian men to just breeze past all the horrific parts about women, and not even ever consider a woman's consent in the Bible. I think it's only like maybe once or twice that the consent is actually given.
What do you mean?
And surprisingly, I think one of them was in Genesis.
What do you mean?
Well, women aren't asked whether they would
Oh,
like to participate in sex. They're not asked whether they want to do things, or their voices aren't heard. It's definitely not a book written for women or to women, because we're hardly in there, and when we are, it's basically saying it's okay to grape us, or sell us. So,
but
I mean, there's some
almost
rare W's, but
also because as far as I know, if a man was found, I mean, I don't think the standards maybe are as rigorous as today. But as far as I remember, if a man was found,
You're covering your mic, Courageous.
you're covering your mic again.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me better? Yes. Like if a man was found guilty of raping a woman, then he should have put to death. As far as
And
I
if
Not
she,
in all cases.
yeah, not in all cases. Sometimes,
It's so in Deuteronomy 22 specifically, which are what we would be under. 13 goes all the way down until about 23. You get all these laws, like if she doesn't bleed on her wedding night, right?
Right.
She should be stoned. But one of the great circumstances that basically, if she's in the city and she doesn't scream loud enough for other people to hear her, it's her fault, and therefore she's the bad guy, and it's okay to grape her.
also, when it comes to if you are a man who rapes a woman that is married, that's a property crime according to the Bible, which is the one that you'll be put to death for. But if the woman you rape is not married, then the man just is forced to marry his victim, which is not good for her, certainly. Now he's part of a marriage he didn't want to be a part, but also she has to live with her rapist and serve him. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, here's the thing, Courageous.
Yeah.
There are a few nuggets of things in the Bible that are good.
Okay.
But they're not things that you can't get anywhere else.
Okay.
The majority of the Bible is barbaric by today's standards.
Yes, by today's time. And I mean, when you look at this is a book of 6,000 years old, if I'm not mistaken, or even more than that.
It's only about
Your mic again.
Yeah,
your mic again.
It's only about 3,500 years old.
Okay. Right, 3,500. And but I go back to the instance of rape that you identified. Are you hearing me? Can you
Sorry,
hear me?
I heard there was something in the house. What was that?
Good. By the way, how was the thing with your father? You had to fly out on us the other day.
Oh yeah, I just took him to my grandfather's home and I saw a zebra, so it was fun.
Oh my god. Okay, all right, good. So everything is all right. Let's get back to business. I was thinking, based on I don't know if I should say the social strata at the time. I mean, I know your reason would be that the woman is now to live with the rapist, but let me ask if there is a better of two scenario, and you tell me, you and your colleague. The stigma that goes on the woman that is raped, as you know, would be such that she not be wanted by anyone.
But there's an easy solution to this.
Yahweh could just be like, "Hey, don't grape people. Don't rape women." He says he's very clear and explicit in about worshiping idols. In fact, he's so explicit in Exodus 20 verse 4 and 5 that he says, I don't worship idols so much so that I am going to be like Kim Jong-un. I am a jealous God, punishing children for the inequity of parents to the third and fourth generation. He can't say like don't own slaves, don't grape women. Instead,
Okay. I just realized how late it was. I promised my sister that I would watch Evil with her tonight. So I didn't realize how late it was. So everyone, Courage, more than welcome to call back up again and see if you can give us a reason to believe in the Bible. But thank you for coming up. Everyone, thank you for liking and sharing. And if you haven't already, my Cash App is in the link. I know I sound like a schmuck here asking for money and stuff, but I really need it so I can make a better show for everyone. But my Cash App is in the link tree. I'm gonna put my PayPal in there later tonight. And check out my YouTube channel. It's also on the link tree. Make sure you follow Ashland. And everyone does it. Everyone does it, Dalton. Plug yourself. Hell yeah. I might plug myself later tonight. We'll see when no one's looking. But anyways, thank you all for liking and sharing. And I've been the Bible Guy, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Deconstruction Zone. See ya.
thank you all.
Shalom, me homies.